How's it going, everybody? I am Kyle, and welcome back to Everlast. It's been, what, 3 weeks since we've last been together, but we are back.
Darn 5-week months.
Yep. I'm telling you. We're back, though, with episode 60 of The Adventures of Eclaas. And so we will be joined by Cole a little bit later when he's able to get to his computer, but unfortunately...
He might be in the chat right now.
There you go. Yes,
Brit is. Hi, Brit.
Brit's there in the chat. Connor will not be here today, and so if there are any combats or anything that are happening, one of you guys, I'm gonna ask to control Belvin a little bit, but that's okay because we are going to go ahead and introduce our characters and just jump right into it. A lot has happened in the past few sessions. And yeah, before we even go into any backstory, let's go ahead and introduce our players, starting with Zill.
Hi, I'm Max. I play Zill. He's on my shirt. The Orphan of Helix, the future refining prospector, the blacksmith extraordinaire, Waffle House, and the Teapot of Madness. And you know, I was just thinking, he hasn't gotten a new nickname in a while. We might need to do something about that. B, are these just what I introduce him with, or is he aware of all of these nicknames?
He's aware of the Teapot of Madness.
For sure.
Yes, he's aware of the Teapot of Madness. I mean, yes, he's aware he is an orphan from Helix, but I don't know if he would ever call himself the Orphan of Helix.
It's gonna have
would he call himself Waffle House?
I don't know.
Waffle House, nice to meet you.
So if one of the other players wants to just drop one of these nicknames, or our dear Fate Weaver, we'll see. But yes, he is all those things. He wants to be the world's best blacksmith. He just enjoys protecting those important to him, and he has taken Eeas on as kind of a new family. So that's exciting. So very protective there, excited to help save the world, is very naive about, social expectations. Definitely thinks, oh, we're helping to save the world. Everyone should just help us at the drop of a hat. That's not how that goes.
I mean, I kind of understand where Zill's coming from. Like, think of it this way. It's like, well, the world is going to end. Aren't you going to help us? And they're just like, no. It's like, well, okay.
We're like, we're helping you. Give us praise. They're like, I don't like you. I don't
Although
care.
there are a good amount of people that are like, I don't need your help. Just generally speaking, normally.
Like Mr. Pirate Captain who went to Davy Jones' locker.
Well, there's that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I could ramble much longer, but we're gonna call it there.
Let's go.
Luxalia is our Glyvin Shrine Maiden. She comes from the Silverwood, and she had a little bit of a lore drop 2 sessions ago of kind of like her backstory, which was nice. We got to hear a little bit about her and her life of lechery. I guess you could say it like that. But she is basically the healer of the party. And as we could see, she definitely wants to convert hearts of people and bring them closer to Alomnia. But she is also, too, fighting for the side of light, especially if it's like a non-human creature. I find that she doesn't really hesitate all that much, especially demons and that kind of stuff as far as combat goes. But yeah, she definitely excels very much at keeping everybody alive. She's quite pious. She's chilling up there in virtue, and yeah, she and Yuki just kind of went at it a little bit at the end of last session too, so we can explain that a little bit later once Cole's able to hear and kind of jump in. But we'll just leave it at that. Luxalia is a Manishorn support type, but she does have a decent amount of like spells and stuff that she can throw out and be useful with, which brings us to our next character, Yuki.
Hey everyone, I'm Dana Forge here at Fantasy Forge Studios. I play the character Mistletoe Yuki. She is a silver draken from the far north city of Flamongolith, if we're looking at the map. I never pointed out. I should probably point it out since we have the map up. It's right up here. right in this little crevice armpit of the Ruffinian Peaks.
That's where Zill's gonna retire.
In the Ruffinian Peaks, she should live in Flomberge. It's a what is it? A merchant city. So there's lots of silver draken there though, and she comes from a speaking of merchants, an instrument merchant / maker family. So she is a bard class. However, she is not your normal supporty bard. She is a blade dancing bard. So she uses 2 broadswords and dual wields them, and uses unique manic dance arts in order to slice with different elemental effects, which is pretty cool. So she used them last session, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed the new combat and how that worked out. But yeah, as Kyle said, her and Luxalia had a little, not a falling out per se, but Yuki's trying to become more virtuous, and she's getting a little frustrated with the fact that it seems like no matter what she does, she's not getting more virtuous. So it's one of those things where she's doing her best, but is also kind of at a crossroads of how to proceed moving forward. So yeah, it should be interesting to see where that goes.
Absolutely. And then we have Belbin. He is normally played by Connor, but he is the crotchety old man of the group. He is a Glyvin from the Roku Horn. He is an oblate martial artist, and so he has a Fairy of Blows. And now that he has this new Darkness Ring, he has the ability to throw out all kinds of insane amounts of damage. What is it like? It's like 2d4 impact damage, plus his Blackened Hand Wraps add another d4 dark damage, plus his ring gets another d4 dark damage. And so he's doing a lot of damage with his normal attacks, but he is, definitely the kind of, if you look at Luxalia as kind of the like virtuous end of the spectrum, he's kind of down on the other end of the spectrum. He is a little nefarious, pretty selfish in the things that he does and what he wants, but I think there's a little bit of a call on his heart. As we saw at the end of last session, he was the one who basically forced the hand of Eclaas to go back and try to save whatever people they could. He told us afterwards it wasn't because he wanted to save people, but more because of like loot or something. But he made a decision. He made a snap decision, and it made everybody look at him a little bit differently as far as that goes. Something that nobody expected him to say or do is to turn back. But he is definitely the troublemaker of the party, and kind of the center of a lot of, not necessarily conflict that happens, but maybe kind of some party tension that does end up happening. But he has always got everybody's backs, and he's willing for a fight whenever he has the opportunity. And then our final character, which is kind of the NPC now, is Thordain. He is a wood elf from the Woodland Realm, which is all the way down here, which they're actually kind of close to where his home is in Vrasukal. But he is a ranger, and so he very much specializes in wilderness travel, and he's kind of taken on that mantle of kind of the guide and leading the travel on Alamnia's Breath, their ship that they're currently sailing on, as the captain of Alamnia's Breath. He is the 2-time winner, recently dethroned by a Glyphex robot of WrestleMania, but he is also an elf of science. He is a ranger tracker class, which means he is a support type character, and he has the ability to support from heals, all kinds of hunting traps, and then also with his bow from the back line to make attack actions as well. He's a cool bean. Trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing about him. He's pretty neat. He's pretty good. And I am Kyle. I am the Fate Weaver and also the creator of this world of Everlast that we have been journeying through for 60 sessions, and even more than that if you count the physical. I think actually when we were meeting in person, I think we got to somewhere in the ballpark of like 40 sessions. And so this might be like 100. Close to like session 100 just overall, which is crazy to think about. Years later, we're sitting with 100 sessions under our belts with these characters. And before we do begin, just want to remind everybody that Fantasy Forge Studios and Kyle LaFonte own all copyrights in the text, images, video, audio, graphics, story, gameplay mechanics, and all intellectual properties involved in the creation of Everlast. Feel free to use it for your own homebrew stuff. We want you to be able to adventure into this world, especially before the Tabletop RPG officially does come out. But in the meantime, don't take it. Sell for your own. But we hope you enjoy it anyways.
Can I say one thing
Do it.
before we start? So we're about 100 sessions in, right? And this is our 60th streamed session, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't leveled up in We haven't leveled up in 60 streams. 60 sessions. We've been chilling at level 7.
leveled up like once since I started playing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's solid. Twice, because we started at level 5 in Helix.
It is interesting.
Oh.
So
Right, because we leveled up after the session I joined.
Yeah.
Then once more, and never again.
It's all good. It's all good.
it's okay.
I want more HP!
Zill's done his darndest facing off against all kinds of wicked evil beings. Who needs more HP when you're just still surviving?
Me!
No, I mean, one thing I will say, though, is I love compared to Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I feel like in Dungeons and Dragons, if you're not leveling up, you feel like you're not progressing at all. I kind of feel like it's the opposite here. Like, yes, we haven't gotten more HP. Yes, we haven't technically learned new skills, although it kind of feels like we have with all the changes that have been getting made to the characters, which is cool. But it allows us to really enjoy the actual mechanics of the game, whether that's new weapons, for example, like Luxalia with her spell mana books that she's getting and learning new spells, getting new accessories, like things that like actually do affect our character in the world. But we can play around with those, and they can give us more unique things.
When the game finally comes out and more people are playing regularly, which would be a good day. This game relies heavily on like party dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have a support, a tank, some damage dealers. But also, don't forget to do good party balancing for holiday skills. Have a craftsman of some kind.
Yep.
So even if you're not leveling up, you can level up your weapons.
Yeah, it's good. No, I mean, overall, so we're doing a grand overarching adventure right now in the streams, but like, for example, the entire Aishan Island adventure, Kyle, you were saying is going to be one adventure. So
Yeah, it's one adventure, so it's levels 1 through 10. And so that's part of the reason why you guys haven't leveled up in a while is you literally started from like roughly chapter 2-ish, chapter 2, chapter 3 in the adventure. And you've progressed all the way far until this point, and you're kind of at the point now where you've like caught up with the levels as far as like where you guys should be, and so yeah, it's the encounters and everything should start to feel a little bit more difficult as far as situations like that goes. But you also have a Glyphex cannon, so.
Have we killed any of Lilothi's generals since the Earth Pillar?
Well, you did.
Was Eeas? I'm sorry, Amos.
Yeah, Eeas was involved in kind of all of that. Also, the one that was possessing Thavalia.
Even though she was Burbledau cult.
Well, there was Burbledau cultist there.
But she wasn't.
Because she was the one who gave you kind of like the information and like the lowdown of like the other demons, where there's like potentially a demon possessing Jack McNobbs, where there is the Azaledoom, who is the child of the Leviathan.
It's okay though, because Zill has the Leviathan axe now, so
that's true. He can breathe underwater now.
He could cleave it in half with it.
He's gonna do fisticuffs, and he's gonna Leviathan or Zaledoom's just gonna drag him to the depths. He's like, wait, not past 60 feet. Ah! It just starts drowning.
The axe version of Kamehameha.
Exactly. Or we're just gonna finally get the shaft of light and combine all the things, and then Thordain, my captain, will be able to shoot arrows for miles. light arrows, like
Just-
Zelda.
Yeah, just pierce the skies. It's like, what is it? Like in Wind Waker, it's like a one-shot every enemy. That's like just
Yeah.
normal enemy. It's
Yeah.
gonna be nice.
Arrow, be true this day. Shoot it straight.
It
He doesn't
doesn't
even have
miss,
to
it's
aim.
an
He
automatic
just shoots it. Just
That's its skill. It just doesn't
Homing
miss.
arrow.
It's just an automatic
Yeah,
hit.
then we hear like 3 weeks later in Decay Town, Azaldum's body washed up. What happened?
It was
just his
littered
arrows
with an
sticking
axe
right
cuts
out.
and arrows.
No, just one single arrow.
Oh, that's fine. That's good stuff. Goodies.
Oh,
Anyways,
Anyways.
I got us sidetracked, but
That's
I
okay.
thought that was good to bring up.
it's
I thought
all
it was
good.
funny.
It's all good. We are at session 60, and a lot has happened, meaning let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of a recap of the adventure so far. It has been 3 weeks, so let's remind our players and also all of those viewing what has been going down. So this adventure initially started off with Eclaas on vacation. Many events happened later. Some cultists at Aishan Island and Eeas, the sorcerer.
Amos.
Yeah, Amos the sorcerer. And also the presence of pirates around Decay Town set kind of events into motion, where King Nalgoric Cragheim, the king of Flomberge, and also the keeper of the Flame Key and protector of the Flame Pillar, sent the keepers now of the Earth Pillar off on an adventure to go grab King Farron of Feshenfay and also Aldreg Monteblair, the keepers of the Sea and Sky Pillars, to assemble for the Council of Keys. The Council of Keys is a council that is only supposed to meet in very dire circumstances, particularly when the safety of the world and the safety of the pillars are present. While the group has been off on their adventure, they fought underwater Krakora, saved Princess Mila, went to Decay Town and destroyed some demons, exorcised some demons, fought some skeleton pirates, and have also confronted many other pirates with Aldreg Monteblair in tow, and King Farron promised to come within the next couple of days. They were just about to make it back when they discovered that there was a ship that had been laid waste, and one survivor, a Valedune elf by the name of Horatius, washed up, and they were able to save him, and they discovered that he has insane light pillar explosion capabilities, but they've learned a little bit more about him, that as a Valedune elf, he does rely a lot on mana, especially in kind of his ancient age for an elf. He doesn't show it physically, but he is quite old, but he has the ability to, as we saw at the end of last stream, at least at the end of the combat last stream, to wield mana to devastating degrees, literally sinking one of the ships with kind of like one pillar of light. He did end up falling unconscious after doing it, but there was some conversation that was going down between the crew, and this brings us to our most latest session, about whether to go back and save any of the pirates that are drowning or just to let them drown. And so the group eventually did go back after some conversations with Luxalia and Yuki and the crew. It was ultimately Belbin who made the decision to send everybody back to go see if they could get salvage anything from the wreckage, people, stuff, whatnot. And so Princess Mila and Princess Mila and Zill went into the water with Zill's newfound ability to be able to swim and breathe underwater to search, but they found that there was a feeding frenzy of all kinds of sharks and fish and the kind. And so they turned back, realizing that whoever is there is probably not going to live for much longer. And Yuki was able to rescue, quote unquote, somebody who had been kind of ripped in half. Bringing her back to the ship, she perished on board, giving everybody points of misery, but kind of leaving the party to decide exactly what to do next. The captain of the ship, a captain by the name of Captain Sullivan, who did perish in a ballista bolt to the rowboat he was trying to sail away in. essentially told them that Takai Town and also Aishan Island as a whole had been occupied by the pirate forces of Jackman Knobs. And the party can see the dock that the Bloody Bosun originally did attack, but they are trying to make a decision right now about whether or not to return to Takai Town, which I think you guys decided to do that, to return to Takai Town.
Yeah, we also
first.
have a pirate first mate on board who's unconscious.
Pirate first mate, that was the one who was ripped in half.
Nope. That person died, and then we got someone else who was on a crate who was just unconscious.
No.
Oh, throwing a wrench in your boat. You remember that, don't you?
No.
Oh my God, no, we did. Hold up.
I believe you.
Hold up. I gotta go back.
There was only the one.
Nope, we got someone else, another first mate. I know this for a fact. Hold on. We have to verify this.
Yeah, this is very important.
How random would that be? Okay, hold up. I've been debating on what to do with her this whole time. You can't just tell me she's no longer there.
She's ripped in half. That's what
no, that wasn't her. That wasn't her. Hold on, I gotta go.
There was nobody else.
No, there was. Let me go to YouTube. Hold on. I could even play it. I don't know if you guys will be here. Max will be able to hear it.
Anyways, while that is happening, the party needs to figure out whether or not they're going to make the approach specifically at the docks of Flomberge or sail all the way around, which will take about half a day to get to Takai Town, which now that it's kind of nighttime, it'll be kind of dawn by the time the crew does eventually arrive at Takai Town to see what state it is in, whether Captain Sullivan was lying or if in fact it has been raised and occupied by Jackman Knobs' forces. But another mystery that is existing as well is the fact that the Flortensia is nowhere to be seen or heard from any of the pirates that were kind of on patrol around the island. The Flortensia, quick reminder for those who don't know, it is captained by a kind of a war hero by the name of Gunter Klaus. And he is a famed pirate who is hunting down Azaledoom and with his gigantic warship that he sails kind of under the Empire. He wants to, the Grandium Empire, that is. He wants to hunt down Azaledoom and basically put an end to the giant beastie creature. And so because of that, they're off somewhere. The party has no idea where. They haven't really been able to talk to anybody who has been useful in this degree to be able to show them. However, tracking them down would be important because the Flortensia, as far as kind of like the generation past, was also the ship that defeated and imprisoned Jackman Knobs before his recent escape. And now that he is a kind of on the run, and from last we've heard from Aldreg Monteblair, he is currently occupying Skyspire Island, which on the map, the party is right here currently. Flomberge is here. They plan on sailing all the way around to Takai Town on the southern tip, and then also Skyspire Island is just to the east of this area, and this is kind of the town where it is.
Verified, I'm right.
You're right. What? Is it true,
right.
Max?
I was listening to you.
It's true. How we ended last session was Lyra singing "Staying Alive," pounding this girl's chest, and Barnacle Bill dancing, and the first mate pirate opened her eyes. That's where we ended. I knew I wasn't crazy.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I remembered that.
Well, I don't know if we can say that, but he's not crazy about this.
So you're gonna have to figure out what to do with that. We don't have to focus on that this session.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm like 90% positive that like you only found one person.
Nope. I just verified it. It's a first mate that we swooped off.
Yeah, the first mate was the one that got ripped in half.
No. Here, I'm gonna clip it. and I'm gonna post it, and then you're gonna see it. Here, Max, Kyle, be quiet for a moment. Put us on a be right back screen. This is important enough.
We'll be right back, everyone.
Sorry, everyone.
fixes after the end of the argument. You can hear it, right, Max? Can you hear this, Kyle? I'm assuming you can't hear.
I actually do remember now.
Yeah.
I remember
saying.
specifically remarking about the fact that you found somebody else that didn't have like the same like tugging that you had. Like I actually do remember that. Okay, that's good to know. See, this is what happens when the intern check the font. Exactly. But this is exactly what happens when it's been 3 weeks since you last played.
Oh, we're about to find the body. Hold on.
But anyways, as far as
Belbin got a nat 16.
Mhm.
Listen, Zill.
I'm listening, but I don't hear anything.
You just said they're not chopped in half.
I actually do remember now, so
Okay,
no
we're good.
worries.
We're good.
We're good.
You made me have to fight for this.
That's
you just
okay.
don't want a first mate to be here.
No,
You wanted to
I
be chopped.
genuinely didn't remember. I remembered the one person, but I didn't remember the others. So
It's all good. It's all good. I was planning the whole time. That's why it's so fresh in my mind. I'm like, what are we gonna do with this lady? Anyways, sorry.
Anyways, and then this is gonna be right where we bring I guess we'll hand it over to the players, but right where we bring Zill and Princess Mila back on board. While she opens her eyes, Zill and Princess Mila are climbing up back onto Alamia's breath after their expedition underwater, figuring out what is exactly going down.
Guys, it's just kind of not really taking in what's on the boat yet. Just kind of climbing back on, knowing we're back. I think we should leave. Like it's a feeding frenzy out there. I don't even know what to put. Big fish with big teeth. We should get out of here. And then, is the half body still in plain view?
I don't know if we've hucked it overboard yet.
No, the body is still kind of there, and it's been kind of like left over to the side, and it looks like a Barnacle Bill seems to be doing what he can to kind of like take care of it and clean up after what's going down. But yeah, Lyra definitely is the one who is trying to keep this first mate alive with her eyes finally opening up. She does so, but there's kind of almost like this glazed over look, and she doesn't react to the people that are around, surrounding her on board.
Okay. Zill. Yuki sees Zill coming up over the edge of the ship with Princess Mila. Wait, when did you leave the ship? What? And she's confused, and then she looks to her. Oh, that explains it. Seeing the armor just chunked onto the middle of the ship. Did you see anything down there while you were there? Any bodies?
Mostly just big fish.
That makes
Lot of blood.
sense. That makes sense. And Yuki kind of turns her eyes downcast and kind of looks over, and she's like, "Yeah, we found someone who looked like they had been ravaged by something terrible. However, it does seem we found someone who's alive." And Lyra's doing CPR, staying alive on her.
And as this lady opens her eyes, Lyra looks over to the rest of you and says, "Are you with us? Are you with us?" And again, there's no response coming from this this first mate, but it is clear by kind of like her like markings where she has kind of this kind of nicer overcoat. She does still have kind of like a not her like tricorn hat, but the like bandana that is on it, and very clear markings of a first mate. And she doesn't respond, and she's kind of like almost delayed, and she blinks a couple of times before she does anything. I'm going to have both Yuki and Zill, since you are the two that are closest here at the moment. Because remember, Luxalia went down below deck after all of this happened. She wasn't there for any of the rescuing. And then, or actually, I think she was there for the first body and then realized that it was dead. And then that's when the confrontation, I think, kind of happened. And then she went down, and I guess Belbin is currently sailing the ship right now along with Thordane. So you two would be the closest.
That's terrifying.
I know.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. Well, I guess Yuki turns to Zill and says, should we restrain her? I mean, she doesn't seem to have any strength, but... And Yuki quickly pulls out her gloof bag and starts looking for rope and whatnot.
No, don't restrain her.
I don't know. It just makes me nervous. We tried to talk sense into the captain and even the first mates. I don't know specifically which one. Do we recognize this one specifically, or was this the one that I had?
This was probably the one that was on the other boat.
Okay.
We are... She's outnumbered and outarmed. I think we're okay.
I just wish we had a brig or something to put her in.
As a... let's see how this develops, and how... Before she kind of started coming to, did anybody check for weapons?
She currently nobody has like checked for weapons as she was unconscious, but you don't see anything like visible on her, but she is a pirate, so there's probably something hidden on her body potentially.
As this is happening, Vil is putting his armor back on because of course.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it takes, but it probably takes a minute.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't foresee her. I could be wrong. But I've been in situations like this before, and I've been on both ends of a position of weakness. And just kind of often in a situation like this, they'll make the decision to survive. Whatever that means. And I think it's pretty clear from what went down, from who's still on the deck, and what martial capacity. Fighting is not the surviving decision. So let's give her a chance.
Okay. Well, and Yuki's still on her guard as this is going on, but nods and kind of walks over to the girl and kneels close to her, not right next to her, and says, "Hello, are you okay?" And from a distance.
I'm going to have you make a charm skill check for me.
Oh, thank goodness it wasn't me.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on the nature of how you approach it. This seems kind of calm and
Yeah.
so.
She's not.
if Zill went up there and just starts roughing her up.
Charm.
It's at 15.
15. Her eyes kind of still glazed over. She kind of turns over and she, like, her head over, still flat on her back, and she looks to you and she says, "Where am I?" And then her eyes break your gaze and kind of is like looking around, like, very slowly.
Well, you're safe, at least. And Yuki kind of asks, I don't know who's nearby, someone who's nearby, could you go get a blanket and something to put over her? And Yuki goes a little bit closer and says,
yeah, Finn goes and runs off to below deck to go grab something.
And we said, we don't mean you any harm right now. I know your captain's orders made you continue on, even if you didn't necessarily want to. However, we don't mean you any harm right now. You're on Alumnia's Breath, the small ship who had approached you from the vast sea.
She kind of just like listlessly looks off into the sky and she says, "The last thing I remember was a light. A great, terrible light. And then nothing."
Well, you're alive now, Yuki says, knowing exactly what she's talking about. Because with that, I'm assuming she's kind of referring to the friggin' pillar of light that just wrecked the ship from what's his name?
Yep.
That guy. That guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Horatius.
Horatius. Well, you don't have to worry about that now. Unfortunately, it seems to be that you're the only one who has survived from both ships. So, count yourself lucky. She kind of nervously laughs, like chuckles to herself.
You could tell that, like, as you, like, look at her and she kind of, like, continues to look at the sky, you could tell that she's trying to kind of, like, move. As, like, there's, like, in her neck, some of her muscles are, like, kind of, like, twitching and moving. But it doesn't seem to do a whole... She's clearly not paralyzed. As you look down upon her body, like, her fingers and, like, toes and, like, everything are moving as well. But she, seems to be just completely sapped, completely drained of all energy.
Yeah, and Yuki, kind of seeing this, says, "Don't overdo it. You've been through a lot, and you weren't on the ship when my colleague and I went and discussed with your captain, not even potential surrender, but a change. We offered him something, a change of lifestyle, a change of career, one should say. And I know, as a first mate, clearly, and she's kind of gesturing to the clothes, you were under the direct tutelage of your captain, but he's no longer here, and we're giving you that same exact offer, an offer at a new life, other than pirating, thieving, stealing, hopefully to turn a new leaf."
And as you say this, she immediately sits up and she says, "Wait, no, where is it?" And she's like looking like all over her body as if looking specifically for something, as if like a memory had just been like jogged back into her. She doesn't look to be necessarily violent, but she is in a panic.
Yuki kind of like jumps and says, "Is everything okay? Like, you're alive. You're fine. There's nothing more valuable than that."
No,
right?
where is it? As she like looks around and she says, "Did I drop anything like on the deck?" or like something like that. As she's just like looking around, kind of on her hands and knees, like scurrying around, seeing if there's anything, kind of in the dark lantern light.
I don't know. Yuki chimes in. What are we looking for specifically? And Yuki starts looking around, keeping an eye on her, making sure she doesn't do anything rash.
She says, "This is bad. This is bad. This is bad." As she goes over and she stands up and kind of weakly kind of like saunters over to the edge of the ship, and she holds on to the guardrail that's there and like looks back and she says, "We have to go back. We have to turn back."
For what reason? There's no one alive. It's just you. We checked thoroughly.
Oh no, this
Those
is not
waters
good.
are dangerous right now.
This is not good. This is not good. She sits down and she puts her head in her hands and she kind of begins to like mutter to herself,
And
in
Yuki
panic.
says, calm down. It's okay. You can trust us. We are not going to do anything to you. Tell us what's happening and see if we can help.
You have no idea what he will do to us. If it's gone, if it's lost, the treasure that he had sailed and looked so hard for, it's gone.
Who are you giving this treasure to? Jackman Knobs?
Yes. As she looks and she says, "I'm not safe. You're not safe. You did this."
Miss, don't worry. We're gonna be paying Knobs a visit. We've got some matters to attend to first, but
You can't. You have no idea what you're up against.
We've seen worse than him.
And she just breaks down and begins to cry as she like searches her body. She finds in her boot, she pulls out what looks to be a small knife as she begins to bring it up to her neck.
And Yuki restrains her. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm dying.
Yeah, Yuki says, "Don't act so rash. You'll be fine. You're not going to see Jackman Knobs again, we promise."
He knows
Tell us.
everything. And she is basically, you take the knife out of her hands, and she has a little bit of resistance at first, and then she just goes limp again. Absolutely defeated.
Can you tell us what the treasure is? If you're so worried about him, it's already gone wrong. There's no harm in telling us what it is.
What do you know about this island? And she looks up to you. Again, defeated. She looks up to you. What do you know about this island?
Aishan Island?
I'm assuming a Sky Spire.
Zil says Aishan
Island.
Island, and she nods to that.
Oh.
Can you be more specific? We've made our way around. We know quite a bit. But what are you referring to?
Aishan Island is the key to everything. It's the key to power. Jackman Knobs, when he escaped from Fulden Rock months ago, he made his presence known. Before he was locked up, many of the pirates in these waters went into hiding. Out of fear of the Flortensia, out of fear of the Empire. But when he escaped, we all heard the call. We took Skyspire Island. Not for anything that is there particularly, but because of how close it is. It has everything that you would need to house fleets of pirates. And he's using it as his base of operations to take this island. And she gestures out to Aishan Island. There's a great power that lies in here. That lies in this island that I don't understand. I only follow orders. But our orders were to retrieve something.
Hold on. Oh, load.
So yeah, Yuki kind of chimes in at this. So, is it true? Is Takai Town raised?
She kind of glances and she shakes her head in agreement. And she says, okay. 2 weeks ago, 15 ships docked at Takai Town, sent by Jackman Knobs. We landed and we fought. We laid siege on the town. There were many that escaped into the jungle. Many that fled for their lives. Which made it easy for us. We pillaged, but we did not find what we were looking for. So we went off into the jungle. We got lost. There are many wicked beasts that are in that jungle.
Yep.
That again. Until Captain Sullivan came upon A tower. Deep on the west end. Close to the mountains. It seemed abandoned. He wouldn't
should've
tell us what was inside. All I know is when he left, he was pale white. And he had something in his hand. Something wrapped in a cloth. We put it in a chest, and we locked it on board the cargo ship. And we were to sail back and give it to Jackman Nobbs. I know not what it is. All I knew is that we were supposed to guard it. And when battle had commenced, I knew I had to protect whatever treasure it was. But just as I was about to take it from its place of rest, a blinding beam of light cracked our ship in two. That wasn't you, was it?
I did nothing of the sorts, he says.
It wasn't not us.
We have beings on this boat. Again, we tried to plead with Captain Sullivan himself to stand down, because even though you outnumbered us by quite a bit, we knew we would leave victorious.
The offer of haven from Nobbs is not an empty promise.
There is no hiding from Jackman Nobbs.
Who said anything about hiding?
He knows we're out there. He knows he's searching for someone as well. And we fully intend on encountering him, Yuki sighs.
Then I need to get off this boat as soon as I can.
Lucky,
You are free to leave.
and lucky for you, we're right here at Flomberge, where we have some business to take care of. As Zill had said, you have two options, or three options, I guess. You could stay on this ship.
You can join the crew if you want.
Mm-hmm.
We could use a hands like yours that know the sea, that know a ship.
Option 2, we can turn you over at Flomberge, and you can try to make your way on this island itself. However, I don't think you would find very kind hands, or with the gold draken there, the flame draken there. Or 3, and Yuki kind of looks over the side of the boat. You can swim for your own. We're not going to force you to do any of these options. However, I think you underestimate us. For Jackman Nobbs, from what we know, he has a power, yes, and a very strong power at that. But nothing quite like the power of Alomnia. And Yuki kind of laughs to herself and says, I know that sounds ridiculous, but you haven't lived as long as we have without his intervention.
Also, like my friend just said, Nobbs has this power. We have come out victorious against something on the same level that gave him that power.
What are you talking about? She says. And she kind of like, for the first time, kind of with some clarity, begins to like look the two of you like up and down. She asks, who are you people?
Well, let's just say we are a bunch of people who want to see Everlast live, and we have been tasked by Alomnia in saving this world from people like Jackman Nobbs and Burbledown, the Archdemon, and such.
Amos the sorcerer.
And so far, we have been successful in our plight and our journey. Our sole goal, as we had mentioned, is to track down Jackman Nobbs, to put an end to his evil ways here on the sea, and to hopefully make the free waters of Everlast. And I don't know if you know any of the other pirates, and I know they're maybe not the best people out there, but I'm sure they're doing what they're doing because they're afraid of him. If we could give them another chance as well to amend their lives and to not be afraid of this power that Jackman Nobbs has, isn't that for the best too? Then you wouldn't have to worry as well.
She nods and she says, "You sure must be confident if you would even offer me a place on this ship. You have no idea the things that I've done."
You've no idea the things we've done.
Some of us are more virtuous than others. Don't get me wrong. And Yuki looks over to Belbin.
Some of us less so.
Yes. However, at the same time, everyone on this crew has been giving a second chance to some in some way or another. Not saying that the temporal punishment will be any better. However, what we can promise you is that if you earn your keep, we'll do everything in our power to help you live. And it sounds to me like you're afraid to lose your life. Is that correct?
There are many things that I have lost, and there are many things that I have given up, but no. What I fear the most is losing my freedom.
Well, are you willing to fight for that freedom?
If you are who you say you are, it's something I'll have to think on.
Well, I hope you understand that until you make that decision, we can't trust you with the rest of our crew. I hope you understand that.
That's right. You hear as walking up from behind is prim and proper, standing upright. Horatius. He comes walking over, and he has his hands behind his back as he looks at this pirate, and he says, "You never told us your name." And she looks up, and she kind of like narrows her gaze, and she says, "The name is Nida." And he kneels down with kind of a smile on his face as he like looks directly at her, and he says, "You need not fear. You're in good hands now." And he looks over and puts his hand on both of your shoulders, kind of on either side as he does so, you can see that there's kind of like almost kind of like this shock. And she says, "Do I know you?" I'm going to have the two of you make wisdom skill checks. By the way,
Hi,
welcome, Cole.
How's it going? Yeah. Ooh, that was good.
I know, I actually had a good roll. 15.
17.
The two of you see that, without mistake, she seems to recognize exactly who this is. Horatius. And Horatius, he as you look at him, he has kind of almost like this like calm, not stoic demeanor, but just calm demeanor as he just kind of looks at her. He removes his hands from your shoulders as he offers his hand out to her in order to help her stand up.
Does she take it?
Hesitates before grabbing it, and she's like, she looks to the two of you, and she says, before she even reaches out and grabs, and says, "How is he here?"
Oh, we found him like we found you. He was floating in the ocean.
"I'm ready to talk. Not with him here, though." And Horatius, he stands up out of his kind of kneeling position, and he says, "This is fine by me. You take as much time as you need. I am not captain of this ship or even any kind of high-ranking official. But I'm happy to see that you are safe. Enjoy your stay on Olamnia's Breath. for however long that may be. And he walks back to the back of the ship and goes into the captain's quarters.
Do we have knobs on our ship?
No, I don't know if we have knobs on the ship. What I'm thinking is that maybe she was part of his crew and the pirates picked her up. But that wasn't that long ago, so I don't know. I'm confused. Anyways, Yuki looks at her and says, "Naida, what was that about exactly? Do you know him?"
She nods, and she says, "I don't know exactly who he is, but I do know what he is capable of." And she kind of just like stares in disbelief as he disappears into the captain's chambers. She looks to you and she says, "Is there a place that we can speak more private?"
I think we're pretty private here. He's not on board. But yeah, I mean, I guess there is. Maybe the whole crew needs to be here for this. If
She
you don't
shakes
mind.
her head. She says, No.
Well, I'm not talking about the rest of the crew. I'm talking about the rest of
companions.
our companions. We're all in this together, you see. The two of us just happen to be here, and Thordain, in Belbin, gesturing over. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing
They're
something.
at the
I'm
helm
sure.
of the ship.
Yeah.
Shipping the ship.
We're all 5 together in on this. So anything you have to tell to us, you have to tell to them. And we know a private place that we could talk. If you don't mind, just for the safety of us and the crew, just for the time being till we get to this private place. And Yuki takes out a small rope. Do you mind if I tie your hands in the front?
She, without hesitation, holds out her wrists to get tied up.
Okay. Yeah, and she does it. She does it firmly, but not like it'll hurt. She's complying, so.
I'll take Naida down to where are we going?
I mean, we need to get Luxalia, so
Yeah.
one of the rooms down there, I'm sure.
Well, I'll take Naida down to go grab Luxalia. Just come to her room or my room. That should be adequate.
And
A
Yuki,
little tight, but
yeah, Yuki goes over and kind of explains the situation to Belbin and Thordain, who are there, and tells Bartholomew, what's his name? Why do I always forget what it is? Balthazar. My goodness. Tells Balthazar, do you mind manning the ship and setting us into the port of Flamberge?
Aye. As he takes hold. We shall be there in no longer than 20 minutes, from my estimates.
Okay. Yuki nods and beckons both Thordain and Belbin down yonder ways and tries to find Zil.
So I'm knocking on Luxalia's door. If Cole is responding from typing someone, I don't have the chat open, so someone will need to read it.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, my computer can't handle it, Cole.
He's saying hello here.
Oh, yeah, I could pull it up on my phone. What am I doing?
Do it.
There you go. Luxalia, we've got we rescued one of the first mates and need to have a conversation with her that we want you present for. It's about
I'll read Cole's
information.
responses. By the way, everybody, he's resting his voice. That's why he's not talking. So
Yes. Life of a
lead the way.
life of a professional. I just go into my room with its dust and metal stacked everywhere.
Yep.
Once we get in there, I kind of offer Naida a place to just kind of clean off a place to sit on the opposite side of the room of like where all my tools and extra weapons are.
You have to understand, these rooms are pretty dinky. Probably like a twin-size bed can fit in it, like a small desk, and there's a small little port window, and then there's room for like maybe like a stool or two. They're very small.
Yeah, and mine is very full of just crap, kind of everywhere. But just kind of put her on the bed, because I'm guessing like all my stuff's on the other wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm positioning in what way I can myself between her and any weaponry. And I've still got my armor and my axe. And I'm like, thank you for being accommodating. And then he unties her hands.
Luxalia looks at you and basically says, like, who is this? Why is she here?
After you went downstairs, Belbin turned the ship around to go look for survivors. When we got there, I know, surprising, right? When we got there, we only found, well, Princess, Mila and I, Princess Mila, right?
Mm.
Yes, found a feeding frenzy of fish, and Yuki and Belbin were able to find 2 that there was hope for. 1 didn't make it despite our efforts, and Nida here, we were able to rescue. She was one of the first mates. And
Well, first
she's
off,
willing
that's
to-
surprising that Belbin did that.
I know, we were all a little... We were discussing if we should or shouldn't, and he just took control. Caught us all off guard.
Luxalia nods and she says, well, have you talked to her yet? I'm glad Alomnia has spared you, my dear.
We're doing our best. We have talked to her
Nida
a
looks and
bit.
she kind of just like gives like a side glance, like kind of nod, a little bit suspicious, but she acknowledges.
And now we just wait for the other 3 to join us.
Yuki knocks on Luxalia's door at first. Gong, gong, gong. Doesn't hear anything.
My door's open.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I left it open
Okay.
until you guys get here.
All right. Seeing that Luxalia didn't answer, says, Yuki says to Belbin Authority, oh, was those doors open? And peeks in and says, oh, hi, everyone.
Hi, Yuki.
Hi, Luxalia. And Yuki kind of like looks down, still a little bit embarrassed from the encounter that happened earlier. Quick question, Cole. Do you know what all went down? The shenanigans that went down with Yuki and Luxalia at the end of last stream?
He says nope.
Okay.
Brief
you wanna-
explanation.
Yeah.
So at the end of last stream, both Yuki and Luxalia kind of got into a little confrontation about going back to help or to save the others, or like the ships that are drowned. So at the end of last session, the battle concluded with the pirates on the one ship. Basically Alomnia's breath sailing away as Zil was able to teleport both him and Belbin back on board Alomnia's breath as it began sailing away. The ship was already sinking because of the ballista bolts and Glyphex cannons that had been happening. The other ship was kind of there, but on the back of the ship, as you guys began sailing away, because they were sailing in the opposite direction, Horatius came on board and summoned this pillar of light that just pretty much sunk the other ship. And so then there was kind of a little bit of a conflict as you were sailing away about whether to keep going or where to go or to go back and try to save people. There was this little bit of debate about it, but you guys eventually did turn back in lieu of Belbin. He was like, we need to turn back, and so he did, and Yuki went out to try to save somebody, and on the deck of the ship brought basically someone who had their lower half torn out. It was a feeding frenzy of sea life that was eating whoever was there left in the shipwrecks. And at that moment, Luxalia basically told him, like, we should have gone back sooner. We left them for too long, and then there was kind of a little bit of a spat between Yuki and Luxalia, basically about how, like, we're just doing our best of what we can do, and especially because, like, Luxalia had tried so hard to not really kill people that are there, but it was just the fact that like literally everybody died that were on those ships. That really upset her, and so being able to go back.
And for Yuki, what was upsetting about it and why she got into confrontation with Luxalia, ultimately what it ended up being is when Yuki brought basically the half body onto the deck and Lyra was helping, Yuki ran down to get Luxalia to try to help revive this person, and Luxalia is like, I can't do anything for this person, we should have gone back earlier. And Yuki got upset because Yuki was like, there's nothing we can do to please you, Luxalia. We went back and tried to save who we could save. This is who we could save. And but Luxalia was just all upset about that we didn't save anyone. And it's like, well, we did go back and try to save anyone. So basically the whole gist of the conversation was like, Luxalia, we appreciate you, but your holier than thou crap is driving everyone up a wall. And so we had like a conversation. We had a conversation about how we're just like, from both ends, how we're both in this together, and we are or we're all of us are in this together, and we're trying to do what we can for Alomnia's, like the purpose of Alomnia, even if that does involve that, at least that's where Yuki was coming from. And we're sorry that we let you down often, but we're trying to do our best, and we'll still continue to try to do our best, essentially, is what it
Apologies
was.
were exchanged, and so like it didn't leave on like a negative note, but that's when basically Luxalia was kind of down in her room, because obviously there was nothing that she can do about somebody who's been chopped in half. And so she was down in her room, and that's when Belbin spotted another person out at sea, and Yuki went out and brought this person, Nida, back on board, and that was where the last session ended. So,
but basically, Yuki turns to Luxalia and says, "Well, we did end up finding someone. I see we've met Nida. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about." And Yuki just comes into the room, and sits
with Belbin and Thordain in tow, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're there.
Zill kind of just closes the door and locks it.
Thordain says, "It's quite crowded in here, isn't it?" As he looks around at literally just like every inch of space is taken up by people here. And he says, similar to what Luxalia said, like, glad that you are up and alive in such a situation. And Belbin just kind of quietly leans back against the door.
So, Nida, you said that you had something to tell us about after recognizing Horatius. What exactly did you want to tell us in private? We're all here.
I don't know much about who he is, other than the fact that we were all ordered to go after him. I don't know what his allegiances are, but something tells me that Jackman Nobbs fears this elf. While we were sent here to Aishan Island, he sent Ragnik after him.
We fought Ragnik. He's the ghost skeleton. Is he? I think so. Hold on. Over game. Is that Ragnik?
Yeah, that's right.
The guy. He announced himself, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he very much announced himself.
Okay, cool.
And she says, she kind of looks at you as like there's a little bit of like understanding, and she's like, "Have you met Ragnik? Yet you live to tell the tale?"
Well, it was quite the battle in the midst of the rain on Folden Rock. But that aside, unfortunately, by defeating his corporeal form, some sort of spirit form escaped and went back to the ocean, blue light of sorts. So we lived to tell. I think we defeated him, but it seems that it wasn't permanent.
She shakes her head and she says, "You can't defeat them." I get the thing that comes into my head over again. It's like, how do you kill that which has no life? But she says, "The key to defeating him, it lies within the hands of Jackman Nobbs. He has control over what Ragnik and his crew do. We all saw it. He brought that forsaken ancient ship up from the depths, as if he knew exactly what he was doing and we have no idea how he knew about it. But Ragnik and his crew serve Jackman Nobbs with utter and absolute loyalty. And it is only his greatest enemies that he sends that ship after. I don't know. I mean, he showed us a picture of a drawing somewhat resembled that man that I saw up there. But he was named Horatius. And Jackman Nobbs wanted him alive.
That's interesting. Well,
we found him at a shipwreck.
so I wonder.
Close to death.
Yeah. In the fog that he had described that rolled in exactly matches the fog in well, man, what's it
Folden
called? At Folden Rock the night that Ragnik attacked. Makes me wonder that if this is true, and Ragnik, upon being defeated by us, is also aware of our presence at this point. Jackman Nobbs.
Probably.
She
Good.
kind of sits there and contemplates, and she says, Ragnik can not be far from the sea. If him and his crew wander too far inland, they'll be brought back to the sea. It's something to do with their curse, this curse that Jackman Nobbs has put on them.
Is it involving coins in a chest of sorts?
Or are they part of the ship, part of the crew?
She shakes her head at both of those and she says, I do not know. All I know is once we saw Jackman Nobbs after he broke out, he was a different pirate than any of us knew him to be from previous. There was a deepness to him. Something eternal almost.
The curse of the Obsidian Pearl.
Luxalia says.
Or Obsidian Pearl? Sorry. Yuki thinks to herself and says, hopefully this comes across as a show of trust towards you, and hopefully it's a show of trust towards us as well for your situation, Nadia. Or not Nadia? Nida. So we learned something that night on Folden Rock. We learned of a plan after defeating a cultist of sorts who had been possessed by a demon. This might sound crazy to you, I know. Most people look at us crazy when it gets brought up. However,
We're used to it.
what we did learn after we freed this individual from this possession was that Jackman Nobbs is part of this plan. Is part of a plan to bring Leviathan back. And using Azaeldune as the vessel. However, this power, again, this demon that Zale had alluded to earlier that we had defeated, who has been giving, or a similar status of demon has given powers to both Jackman Nobbs and Favalia, who we had freed. And she was looking for one more vessel in order for this to happen. Makes me wonder, and she thinks to herself, if he's trying to make Horatius this last vessel for this to happen.
What do you know of this Horatius? All we heard from Jackman Nobbs is that he was dangerous. Clearly dangerous enough to send Ragnik after him.
Nothing. That's all he interjects.
Very little.
How familiar are you with mana?
All I know is that it takes a very special person to be able to wield such a thing. Pirates tend to rely more on our martial prowess than anything of the spirit. Many of us have even rejected the spirit altogether.
Well, it seems you've come in contact with it. Yuki kind of lightly chuckles, and it so happens to be that we are all blessed here with the power to use mana and wield it in some form or another. And it is that power alone that gives us the ability to defeat our enemies. And that, of course, the gifts of Alomnia.
To what extent we don't yet know, but so it seems is Horatius.
She nods and she says, "If it's all the same to you, I would like to stay with you. I've made my decision, but only in as far as you are my best chance to stay alive. If and when Jackman Nobbs is stopped at your hand or by fate, I do want to seek my freedom. I do not want to be imprisoned on a vessel such as this, but I will do what I can in the meantime to be able to help you bring down this threat."
Yeah. Yuki nods, and Luxalia interjects about Horatius specifically. But dangerous does not always mean bad. We are dangerous, but I'd like to think we are good. Pirates are dangerous, but they were bad. Dangerous alone is insufficient to make a judgment. I don't think you should bring such a judgment on Horatius here, as he hasn't done anything wrong.
He sunk my ship with one... I don't know.
Well,
I just want to stay as far away from him as possible. Because if Horatius happens to be the ire of Jackman Nobbs, I don't want to be anywhere near him.
Yes, he sunk your ship. But think about it this way. If you had that power, and your companion ship was under attack, would you not use it to save them?
All I care about is saving myself. That's what you sign up for when you become a pirate.
Yuki smirks to herself, and she's like, "You're gonna have to change that mindset if you're gonna be on this crew. We all have each other's back, and we look after each other, even if that means with our life. I know that's not gonna come easy, but we promise that if you are part of this crew, we will do whatever we can to keep you alive." And Luxalia interjects and says, "If he is opposed to Jackman Nobbs, I'm inclined to think he's not all that bad."
I'm starting to agree with you, Luxalia.
Belbin, he chimes in and he says, "Even if he is creepy and knows things that most people shouldn't, such as my impressive bowling skills."
So, what I'm saying is put your faith in something other than yourself. And I think you'll come to find that relying on others is much easier than just relying on yourself alone. And Yuki kind of looks to the rest of the crew, or everyone in the ship, and says, "I know every single one of us wouldn't have made it if we hadn't relied on each other. So it's a lot to think about. I know you've made your decision to be part of the crew, but it's going to take a big change, not just a change in loyalty, but a change in mindset to fight for what is good. I hope that's something you can do."
And as that happens, you hear a soft knock on the door.
Bye, Cole. Belbin opens the door, I guess, or says, "Who is it? Who goes there?"
A quiet voice, the voice of Princess Mila, says, "Excuse me, we're about 5 minutes out from docking." Balthazar would like to see the captain, if it's all the same to you.
Thornton nods and says, "Ah, it seems my service is of need." And turns to, what is her name?
Nida.
Nida. I don't know why that's so hard for me to remember. Turns to Nida and says, "Well, I am the captain of this ship. I did not know if you knew that, but however, if you do want to join the ship, your application has been accepted. We look forward to all the work that you're going to put in on the Alomnia's breath." And he gives her a bow and leaves.
Do you have any particular boating skills?
Computer hacking skills? Maybe bow hunting skills?
I've been on the sea
Well-
for nearly half my life. I can, if you have something that you need me to do, I can absolutely fill in where I can.
But do you have any particular specialties, is what I'm asking.
Well,
Anything you particularly enjoy?
I was the first mate of the vessel that I was. Normally,
That role's already go.
normally I tend to drive cargo ships and navigate the waters. As far as navigation goes, I know these waters like the back of my hand, all the inlets and outlets, and I love the water. I love the ocean. If there's anything that I can do to help with navigation, pathfinding out on these waves, I know it's... You seem to have a few people on board that seem to know what they're doing, but you don't all peg me as sailors.
I'm not.
Well, yeah, we're not necessarily all sailors. We have enough to get by. Our first mate, oh my gosh, what's his name? Balthazar.
I barely know how to
Balthazar.
swim.
Our first mate, Balthazar, is like you. Actually, he is an ex-pirate. I'm sure you and him will get along quite well. And we have Bree, who deals with our cargo and deals with all the itemization on board. Every single person who is on board this ship has been on a ship at some point in time, and they have their individual roles. If you do like the sea, I suggest talking to everyone and getting to know kind of where things need to be filled in. And I'm sure, as far as navigation goes, up in the crow's nest, oh man, what's her name?
Riona. Well, we'll have to introduce you to Riona before we.
Is it Rihanna?
Yeah. I got it pulled up. We'll have to introduce you to Riona before we disembark. We've got some important business to attend to in Flomberge. But we'll make sure to make that introduction, and you can get settled.
And as a show of good grace and goodwill from us for making this decision, you were never on that pirate ship. We met you on the sea, and that was it.
And also, you will get paid for being part of our crew, Luxalia says.
Yes, you are not a slave. Everyone makes a wage here, so do not worry. But what I'm saying is, this is your opportunity to start anew. You, by taking up this role and helping us out for the good, even if it is against Jackman Nobbs and all that at hand, know that by your service here, your deeds on the ocean will never be mentioned by us. We can't help if someone recognizes you, but at the same time, hopefully by being with us and part of our crew, they'll understand.
She kind of sits in silence for a moment, and she just says, I just don't understand why you would do this. We had every intention of killing you. All of you.
Yep.
That's part of the pirate code. Why would you let someone like me, who serves under such a code, on board a ship? Why would you be so quick to trust me?
Because in a variety of different situations and reasons, someone has done the same for each of us when we least deserved it.
Everyone deserves a second chance, right? And you seem more willing than your old captain was. That's for sure.
To put it just from my own experience, we have a princess on board. We've dined with kings. We've met some of the most amazing people in Everlast. I'm an orphan from the streets. No one like me ever gets to be in the rooms I've been in. All 'cause, for a reason I still am struggling to understand, someone gave me a chance.
Give all of us a chance.
Yuki, I'm gonna have you make a charm skill check. It can be with hope because of the company's assistance.
Okay, well, I didn't need the hope, but thanks. Charm, you said?
Charm,
you
yeah.
said? 19.
She looks to you and she says, well, I'll hold you all to that. Just remember, when all comes to an end, if we are to survive this endeavor together, I want to be free. Will you promise to respect my wishes?
As far as we're concerned, you're a hired hand.
You're willing.
You will receive a wage, and your stay on this boat is as long or as short as you desire.
We just do ask that if you do decide to part, you don't go back to your thieving and pirating ways, as there is no freedom in that, as you have seen. And if your past dies with you here, there's no reason you can't move on and make an honest living for yourself. That is where
Also,
true freedom lies.
We have, if you're worried about that even being possible, we've helped many and made friends all through the seas. Maybe you won't start at a glamorous place, but when it's your time to go, we'll put in a good word and help you get your feet back under you with something honest.
Yuki nods at that.
We've done. I don't know if you ever met the bandit Duluth on Aishan Island. Well, hopefully he's okay. Based on what you're telling us about Decay Town, but he started fresh in Decay Town with an honest job. Because we asked the town to. He had a debt he had to repay to the town, and he's probably still working on it, but he agreed to the terms and took up honest work. We can help. Can't promise glamour, but we can promise honest.
She nods. She holds out her hand to each of you to shake, and she says, I'll hold you to your word.
And we'll hold you to yours.
And you can rely on me for the time being.
Also, you might want to brush up on your wrestling skills.
That throws her for a loop. I'm gonna have you make a charisma survival check for me.
Oh no!
You're kind of charismatic a little bit.
No, I'm not. Dirty 16.
Oh,
Dirty
it was
16.
fine.
Bro.
Good.
She kind of like shakes it off and she says, what is this question? Some kind of initiation?
No, we just have entertainment nights on long trips, and we've had several wrestling tournaments. You're welcome to join, or just watch.
Be aware, we do have a someone on board who is quite strong at wrestling, to put that lightly.
Unassumingly so.
Yeah.
She rolls her eyes and she says, what did I sign myself up for? And she
It's
says,
It's optional.
lead me to where I'm staying. And she says, clearly I don't have any belongings or anything on me, so if you could supply me with basic necessities, I'll, I guess, get right to it.
If you're more accustomed to pirate gear, we did have a pirate-themed night not too long ago, if that suits your skill. Or
Who
if you're
are
more
you people?
interested...
She like throws her hands up in the air and she's like, you're taking on my profession and you're making what fun of it?
No. I was gonna offer as well. We have French Riviera style clothes too, as in last night actually we had Cajun night.
I don't know if there's a good answer to who are we. An eclectic bunch from all over.
We have fun though, and I hope you enjoy a little fun.
But I mean, feel free. We've got some stores from our knights for clothing. And Zil throws her a small pouch of 10 EC. Consider this in advance. While we're docked, feel free, go get whatever supplies you need.
Our crew is free to roam in Flomberge, and you are part of it, so you
Yeah.
should be fine.
But here's a call it a signing bonus, and hopefully it helps make life a little more comfortable.
And with
On the boat.
that, there is a shake in the boat as you have officially made docking. The anchor has been waylaid, and you are currently being tied up at the docks.
Oh,
of
thank
Flomberge.
goodness we're back on land.
Yuki
Oh.
smiles and shows Nida to where the crew sleeps. Points out a hammock. Makes sure Remy cooks some food for her to eat, and says to her as she goes up, "So we're going to be docked at. I don't know how long we're going to be docked here for. However, once you're comfortable and you do want to go into town, feel free to do so. If you would feel more comfortable with it, feel free to ask Bree or one of the other crewmates." And then she leans in and says, "I'm particularly fond of the company, especially if you don't like people who talk a lot. I'm particularly what is it? A fan of Sariel. She's a wood elf like Thordane, and she's a woman of few words, but she'll keep an eye out for you."
Also, I strongly encourage when you get a chance, make acquaintance with Kalik. He's
Oh, I forgot we had him.
our most recent addition, with a story more akin to yours. We had a similar conversation of talking him onto the ship after being involved in the crime syndicate on Folden Rock. And he didn't think he was worth a second chance either.
She
Ask him
looks.
what it's like
She
to
looks
join
to
this
all
ship.
of you, and she just kind of repeats again, like under her breath, like, "Who are you people?"
We work hard for a living and party hard in our free time.
That we do. Don't try to keep up with the elves on the party nights. Doesn't end well.
Zil, you and don't go arm wrestling random people on the ship too. We have unusually strong folks here.
And we only have so many more tables.
Ah,
Didn't we break one?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure What's His Bucket totally went to work trying to repair whatever you guys break.
Zil, do you have a inspiration set
No.
in walked? You know, it's always good, Kami, for Zil to get a
Oh, good.
sweet inspiration.
Sweet hope.
Yeah, sweet hope.
And with
I've actually
that-
been rolling good tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and I probably will not again for the rest of the session.
Yeah.
'Cause I just,
With that, we're going to take a really quick break. This is going to be a good
Thanks,
bio
Connie.
break. Everybody go and get your get hydrated and all that stuff, and we will be back in about 5 minutes. See you on the other side, everybody. And we are back with Everlast, The Adventures of Eeas. I am assuming everybody has all prepared for the continuation of this session. Session 60.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Let's go.
And with that, as you feel yourself docking, you begin to hear voices up on top of the deck, and the sound of many heavy footfalls, almost as if people are coming on board the ship.
Okay, we rush to the top of the ship, I'm assuming, after
Yeah.
hearing this.
And as you peer up, you see Thordane looks to be embracing a couple of flame drakens. So for those who don't know, Draken in this game, similar to what Yuki is a race of creatures, and there are silver Draken, which are Yuki type Draken that have kind of like silverish scales and wings. There are gold Draken, which are what these are, and all of them have horns, different kind of shaped horns. And these ones are probably the most humanoid-ish looking of them. They don't really have any distinguishing features other than their horns. However, they are known for their ability to actually breathe fire. And then you have the bronze Draken, which actually have dragon-like claws and hands. And they have more bronze scales and kind of associated with electricity. And then you have the black Draken, who have long black dragon tails. They're more mainland, particularly in the kind of the Great Peninsula and up north. That's where you'll see a lot of black Draken. But there are a bunch of flame Draken that have gone on board, and you see Thordane kind of greeting them all, and he tells everybody, he says, "It is good to see you. We have heard terrible news that Aishan Island has been taken over by and occupied by pirates. Hopefully, Flombird seems to be holding well." And one of the Draken that are there, you don't recognize any of them particularly, but they definitely seem to recognize you. And one of the Draken that are there, who goes by the name... pull up my notes here.
Charles the
Bonaventure.
Gold Dragon. Bonaventure.
Goes by the name Wolfgar. He says, "These are dark days, but we seem to have been able to keep our own. It is true, pirates have landed, but the walls at Flombird stay strong."
That's good to hear. Yuki and Zil make their way up onto the deck. Sorry for our delay, but I'm glad to be back, and glad to hear that Flomberge and King Nagor Cragheim are well.
They nod and they say, "We've been expecting you for some time, but we didn't expect the trouble to be able to befall upon your departure. Come, you must speak to the king." And he looks at everybody on the crew and he says, "There are many fewer of you than the departed. Is everything okay?"
Well, it's a long story. We have new faces and have some faces who have left. We had the unfortunate circumstance upon our way to Feshenfey and encountering Izaeldun out on the sea. However, we are mostly in one piece.
And we've made some upgrades, so hopefully that'll go better next time.
Speaking of which, Yuki turns around to Finn and says, "Finn, I don't know how long we're going to be on Aishan Island, but if any upgrades need to be done, this is a good time to do it, especially if we're going into battle."
"What kind of funds do we have to be able to prepare the ship for battle?"
We're pretty good. I think the ship's pretty solid. Also, everyone has money, so...
That doesn't mean everybody wants to use
Well,
it.
Yuki's willing to put in 600 EC for upgrades. So she'll take that out of her funds. Thordane, he's the ship captain, so I'm making the executive decision. He's going to help out some too.
I'm guessing Belbin is not.
Yeah, probably not. I'm going to put 236 from Thordane to EC.
Zil is like
might be willing, but doesn't give a specified amount.
That's fine.
Bree is on board and like on the main deck, and she says, well, these are everything that we need. These are all the supplies that we have gone through. We need to make sure that if we do depart, that we are plenty prepared. We never know what will happen out there, and we need many of it to be accessible just in case we do have to take to the boats at some point. And you could tell she like knows exactly like what she's looking for. And she says, Finn, come with me. We will go into town together and do what shopping that needs to be done.
Also, Yuki turns back around and says, we may be going up against fleets and fleets of pirates. I think we should really focus on as best as we can in durability of the ship.
Side note. Have we ever actually paid any of these guys?
We have, because we all put funds into the ship fund initially.
Well, and there was treasure too that was on board the ships when you guys had defeated the Bloody Bosun, and so that's like starting coffers that you guys had. For the
I don't know
ship.
if we've been taking any money out of it, but we did have a decent, like we've been fine. I thought about that too. I'm like, oh well, we had a big chunk of money put in there.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
That
we
would
can deal with
probably be-
kind of the payments and everything like off stream afterwards.
But should we just say that as we're disembarking, we're paying them, so
Yes.
they want to do something in town, they
Yep.
can?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. And yeah, it hands out the funds. But anyways, what were you saying? What was Finn saying about that?
Well,
Because Yuki said to prioritize defense and offense, unless there's anything Zill wants specifically upgraded in the ship. as well.
Bree, she calls over to Toli and says, Toli, that seems to be more of your expertise. Come with us, and the three of us will go see what we can do to be able to better equip the ship. Perhaps
Is there any
there
way
are
to get a forge put in?
Forge on a boat. I guess. Yeah.
Toli's like, expansions made upon the ship. Depends on how many hands. I can't do it all myself. Do you think some of your kind, and he kind of pokes one of the Jarakin in the chest, would be willing to help us make our any upgrades that are needed? We're here to protect your arses.
This is the bottom of the list, but I mean, I could help fix stuff if we had one.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, how many expansions can we have on our ship? It just
So currently, you
again.
guys, right now, it's like pretty base as what you can do. As far as expansions on the ship, you could probably add, if you wanted to add a forge, you might be able to do that. You can physically expand the whole of your ship to create rooms if you wish to do so. That would definitely take more time to be able to do that. But in regards to kind of equipping kind of more like armored like siding to the ship, you absolutely could be able to do that, and probably within the course of a week, with the help of like the Draken like builders, be able to get that.
would it
done.
be a +1 to DV as well because it's Drakencraft?
So I guess it kind of depends on like how much you're willing to spend. And so you can do just like basic reinforcement to it, which is basically like a better lumber style that gives you just a flat +1 to your DVRV. If you wish to do like a more kind of like metal siding, it's not going to be completely metal siding because it'll be too heavy for the ship, but you can kind of reinforce it a little bit with some metal. That'll give it a +2/+2. And if you want specifically Draken forged like siding on the ship, that will be a +3/+2.
I'm wondering if we do try to get Nalgor Kragheim to kind of help us fund it, since we are, saving the world and saving Florida.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even if it's just at a discount, I'm just trying to think ahead of time, because we don't want to spend all of our money on it, especially if our ship's going to get friggin' destroyed during it. I think we should also focus, if we can, upgrading our ballistas to like a higher quality ballista, if that makes sense as well.
So a lot of the ballista upgrades that can happen is, so these are like full out ballistas, so they're pretty basic. You can get different kinds of ammunition for them.
Okay.
And so I guess it would, while you were out shopping, and we don't have to go through the whole montage and everything for that, but essentially what Flomberge has available is you can get flaming rounds, so like a large flaming bolts, which obviously against wooden ships that does something. But you may be able to even craft explosive bolts too. To be able to have those.
Yeah,
They
I
are
think
decently volatile to have on board. If your ship does take enough damage, there's potential for them to explode. So you got to be careful with those.
Those are the first ones we use. No, I think we should get a handful of everything, just so we're as ready to go as we can be.
I know
So
Aldrich Montblair is like still in the process of trying to craft the second Glyphex cannon.
Yeah.
To go on the back.
also getting another battery, if we can get another battery, so that way can charge while we have it going.
Zilla's gonna go talk to him before he leaves the boat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, once we're done with this conversation.
So can we make a quick list of things we want upgraded really quick, so that way we can just check them off,
and then I can kind of tell you about how much it's going to cost for each upgrade too.
Okay. So do you want to do Draken forge stuff for the ship? It might be worth it.
Depends on cost.
Yeah. Again, if we can get now Goric Cragheim to help fund it, since we're going to do this, that might help a little bit. I guess we can tentatively say yes, but if not, would you like just to do like basic plating? So plating, or if we can get help with some funds, depending on how much it is, we'd like to do that.
You can also get a ram for your ship too. So it's basically like you can you can basically charge straight in. You're a pretty fast ship as a small ship, and you could basically do like insane amounts of impact damage if you ram the ship with that. So that's another potential upgrade that you can do, is you can literally create a ram on the front of your ship.
Maybe again we'll have to check price for things. I think tentatively a ram could be nice.
You can also have upgraded sails too. What those would do is you basically would be able to reinforce the masts, and then you can get better material than just like cloth. You can get more durable, fine materials than just like the typical cloth that your sails are made out of.
I wonder if we can convince Belbin at all, because he's so rich.
I would not count on it.
No, I know, but it would be. Oh my gosh, he's got so much money.
Well, if he's here next
his
session,
EP. Yeah, I'm looking at his EP, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Not EC, EP.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've seen his sheet.
Yeah. But no, as far as I think we want
reinforced hull first.
ram,
A ram.
explosive rounds, flame rounds,
Ballista ammunition.
Yeah.
I want to say mostly flame.
mostly flame, some explosive.
flaming rounds. You said how many? About how many?
Probably 4 on each cannon, I would say,
And then 1 explosive.
for each cannon. Yeah, for each ballista. So 2 flaming and 8, or 8 flaming, 2 explosive. Are there also for the arbalists like different kinds of arbalist arrows that can?
Yes, and so there are. Well, no, those ones are pretty much the same. I was thinking about the swivel cannons, but no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If we need any expansions, I guess a forge expansion, if we can afford it. If we can afford it. And I would say if we can internally, if we have any extra room, potentially even doing a few extra rooms, like divvying off space for
Did
some
you guys
extra
want to
rooms.
create a brig, like a prison?
Yeah,
on
maybe
board?
one of those could be a prison. But I was also thinking like underneath the ship, so people can have more cover as well. Maybe doing 1 or 2 portholes for ballistas or arbalists.
So like
down
on
there
on the second layer.
on the second layer.
So the problem is on your second layer, both sides are taken up by rooms.
Rooms. Okay, never mind then. We're fine. If we expand the ship, maybe we can think about it. But
Yeah.
So essentially, if you're looking at like kind of like the 3D of your ship, you have the captain's quarters and everything. Here we can pull up Alomnia's breath here. So your 3D quarters, the captain's quarters are here. The second deck below, you have, I believe, 4 rooms on each side. Up here at the front, you have your kitchens and kind of galley, that common space. Down below on the bottom, you have your
Storeroom.
like storerooms, like all the storage is just in the middle. And then also you have your like hammocks and stuff that are kind of off on each side. If you wanted to have a like a forge, a furnace, it would be at the back of that area. You can wall it off a little bit, or you can kind of keep it open to have a little forge up there. And the last place was the what do they call it? Your prison could be up at the front of the ship area if you wanted to. That would probably take up the vast majority of any usable space that you would have.
I'm wondering too if we can kind of cut the captain's quarters in half as well, honestly, and make 2 rooms out of that.
It's like a
as
double
opposed to just
captain
the
quarter.
one. Yeah, just in case we do have any important guests. They
So
can
all
stay
that
there.
would be pretty cheap because you could just create a wall down the middle, and then just put that up to kind of have separation.
Yeah. So if we do all of those that we had suggested, anything else, Max, that you can think of?
No, that sounds great.
Okay. What is the damage quoted?
Okay, I've been. Okay. So a reinforced hull is going to cost you 1,500 EC.
Oh.
If you want the Draken Forged hull, that's going to be 2,000 EC.
Again, we'll talk to now Craigham about that.
Ship RAM is going to be 800 EC.
Hold on.
Ballista rounds are going to be the flaming ones are going to be 25 apiece. Explosive rounds are going to be 150 apiece.
I don't know why I need to do this. I can just do this on my phone.
Yeah. Here, let me read it back out to you so you guys can write it down.
25 times 8 is 200, plus 800 for the RAM, plus 1,500 for... Looking at 2,800 right now.
Yeah, 1,500 for the regular one, and then 2,000 for the dragon.
Is the regular the metal or
metal
the
one?
reinforced
If you
one?
wanted the lesser one, then it's going to be 1,000.
I think reinforcing is important.
I'm okay not doing the Draken.
Well, so
I would want the metal.
I think we can do the metal. I think we'll also let's talk to now Gord Cragheim as well and see if he can help fund some of this, including King Farron's going to be there as well. So see if we can get any help with some of it.
We could ask if there's a different. Well, no, we installed the Glyphics cannon.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, I'm just trying to think if, like, the people who are there for the keys, knowing our situation, what's going forward, especially if we explain it well to them.
Do you want to hear
if
more?
we can get some,
more prices?
just get, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
The on-chip forge is going to cost you 1,800 EC, and the ship brig is going to cost you 500 EC.
Okay.
How much for just the wall?
Yeah, the wall for the captain's quarters.
Wall for captain's quarters is going to be 50 EC.
Okay.
How much does that total out to?
I didn't. So, 1,300, 1,800 for the forge. You said?
Yeah.
So
1,800
for the forge, and then 500 for the prison, plus 50 for the divided captain's quarters.
5150
5150.
for all
Okay.
of it.
Okay.
With the metal, not the Draken.
We'll tentatively say yes on that.
Okay.
And see if we can convince otherwise. If we can't convince fund-wise, then we can choose to leave some stuff out. So.
Yeah.
40.4K. Oh, never mind. Sorry, that's channel points. Woo, it's pretty good.
Okay.
Sweet.
that
And with that, you begin to gather your initial kind of departure team up into the city. You look up, and as you do so, it's a long winding path that goes up into starting a little bit jungly down at the base. It very quickly becomes volcanic.
Before we go, can I talk to Aldrig?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just knock on his door.
Yes, what can I do for you? Oh, it seems
Hey,
we have arrived, haven't we?
Yes, we're in Flomberge, and we've made arrangements to prepare the ship for our expected encounters that are in the near future. Um, and we still have yet to talk to King Nalgoric. But I was just wondering, I don't know if you were planning on staying on the ship, if you needed help gathering supplies, if you needed.
Well, I've come for the
Any-
council primarily, and so I will be joining you for whenever that does take place. I do need some time, though. I'm nearly done with the second canon. Probably need about another, probably week to be able to work on this, and maybe an afternoon to get it all set up on the rear of the ship.
Okay. Yes. I'm still not sure when the. Do I know when the meeting's happening?
You
We
guys
don't
haven't
know
made a
yet.
decision because you
Okay.
still have to wait for
Yeah.
King Farron, who's about 2 days out.
Okay. Well, King Farron's about 2 days out, so we can't even set the meeting till he gets here. So, just if you need any help, assistance, or if you need me to take Kokoro to go pick up some supplies as you tinker away, let me know. I'm not
Kokoro
sure if
is
you were-
very good at grabbing supplies.
I wasn't sure if you were planning on kind of laying low on the ship, or if you were more comfortable being out and about in Flomberge.
I would rather not be on the ship for as much as possible, but he thinks about it and he says, "It is volcanic, isn't it? It's quite hot in Flomberge.
Yes, very.
Hmm.
Quite
Perhaps the
uncomfortable.
ship I would like to stay, but I want to spend as much time out in Flomberge as possible. It has been many, many years since I've laid foot in such a immaculate city of Draken ingenuity. There's so much that we can learn, so many decent materials that we might be able to use to contribute to the defense of the ship.
Well, we're now in port, and we'll be here for at least till we make a plan with King Nogoric. So you are, like all our crew, free to come and go as you please.
Indeed. Kokoro, we will be requiring much of your assistance. I need to make sure that you are in, How are you with the heat, by the way? Kokoro, she begins to kind of go over, like, all of her diagnostics about, like, her heat threshold and all that kind of stuff as he begins to talk to her about that. But, when do you plan to depart? Immediately?
Yes, we're about to head into town.
Then I will join you. Come, Kokoro.
And Yuki, while this is happening, also invites Horatius to join us.
And you do find Horatius in the captain's quarters. He's sitting in a chair in the far corner, and he's reading one of Thordane's books. And he looks up to you, and he says, "Were you able to sort out everything with prisoner, new recruit?"
A new recruit, yes. She seems to recognize you. It seems that the pirates' plan was to specifically Jackman Knobs, who we're going to take action against, seems to want you specifically. I think there's a lot that we need to talk about still about you and who you are. I know we haven't asked much, but we also didn't know much about you. But I think while we're here, we should talk things through, especially if our number one enemy wants you. Would you like to come with us into town? We're going to go speak to King Nagor Cragheim.
Oh, Flomberge, you say? Well, this is a new experience for me. And he closes the book and he puts it on the table and he says, "I'll be ready to depart whenever you are ready."
We're ready. So put your boots on. It's hot. Wear something light.
He walks over to the table and he pours himself a glass of water. And he takes it and he takes one big swig and downs the whole glass kind of in one go. And he says, "You need to be prepared for everything, right?" As he makes his way out onto the deck, looking up into the night sky. So it's interesting. So it's still the middle of the night. There are torches at the docks that kind of light things up, but you can see that the city itself is glowing with the magma pools and magma rivers that flow all throughout. It's definitely a surreal sight. You can definitely pick it out in the darkness, but you all prepare to head up. And is there any last-minute things that you want to do before you all depart? Are you wearing your flame cloaks, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We have those. All of us who have them have them.
Okay.
By the way, in our treasury,
Mhm.
I did make note about that. We have 4,652, but that was from the start of the adventure.
Okay.
So I don't know how much needs to be deducted from that, but
Yeah, it's a weekly salary. So let me just really quickly calculate. So I guess it's like daily, but you could split it into weeks. When you first left here, it was about
it's like a month, right?
no, a little
We
bit
didn't
more,
spend-
a little bit more than a month. About like a month and 4-ish days.
Okay.
Yeah, a month, 4-ish days, something like that.
Yeah, because we only spent like a few days, not less than a week at a Folden Rock. We
Mhm.
spent a couple weeks at I
You
don't know exactly.
You spent a day at. You spent a day at. I guess technically 2 days total. Spent at Fashion Fae, but remember you were attacked by Zaeldoom and you were stranded for a little bit of time in those caves too.
Yeah.
When did we give everyone their raise? Because that happened more recently.
Yeah, that was at Folden Rock.
Yeah,
so
I think that was at Folden Rock.
that was at
before you
Folden
guys
Rock.
That was
departed.
about like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Okay, so what about were we at? Because we're at 39.5 EC per day for at least everyone who survived.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
So, but that's after the raise. So call it
30. We'll do it 37 because it was like a 2 EC raise, right?
per person though, wasn't it?
Was it?
I
Yeah,
think so.
I think it was.
2 EC
Yeah.
per person.
So 1, 2. So 1, 2. Okay, so 39.5.
Math, the best part. of tabletop RPGs.
39.5 minus 18. 18.5. Then that would be 5 weeks worth.
Okay, yeah.
So we owe the crew 1200.5 EC.
We'll do 1,201.
Great.
Make it even. I'll take that out right now. So
That quick estimate
Mhm.
ish. Good enough, right?
yeah, so we are currently sitting at, after paying everyone, 3,451.
3,451.
So I guess too, because we also gave technically we could add the totals that you and I gave to the treasury as well for them to go out and spend towards whatever we did. So I gave
I didn't add anything.
okay, so or Thordane and Yuki. So Yuki gave 600, so that puts us up to 4,000.
Yep.
And Thordan gave 2,000? 200?
200, yeah.
So
So
we're
that's
at
4,051.
42.51.
Yep. So yeah, it's definitely not enough for everything, but we can start at least doing the important stuff. So reinforcing the whole RAM and forge. Do you want to do a forge?
If you give Zill the option for a forge, he will always take it.
Yeah, we'll do the forge. I mean, it's going to be useful ultimately overall. So let's see. Let's do. So how much was it, Max, for the all the bolts?
Everything
For the
Well,
for the 25 apiece. So it's 200 for the flaming rounds, right?
And then
Mhm.
300 for 2 explosive.
300 for the 2 explosive. So minus 500. So it's 3/8.
Note to tabletop role-playing game fans in the audience. If math is your least favorite part of tabletop role-playing games, don't invite a math teacher to your party.
That's true. That's
No,
all
They
good.
might do the math for you.
Or invite a math teacher to your party.
That
Well,
way we don't have to.
what happens when you invite a math teacher is 2 things. A, you have someone to do all the math for you. But they're going to want to do more math.
Yeah, it's all good. So and then the forge was 1,800, right?
Yeah, 1,800.
We are currently at 2,951.
Reinforced
so-
hull was 1,500.
And so yeah, we need to do that. So that's 1,400.
The RAM would be the last thing I would
Yeah,
add.
1,000.
And the RAM was 800.
Yeah, so let's put up the wall. So that's another 50. The brig is 500, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
So-
that's also my kind of
Back.
Like
Back end.
that's the least important thing in Zill's mind.
Okay.
Because it's like a break could be nice, but we can sequester someone
So
if we need
the
to.
only thing, what haven't we done yet? So they're in for sales and.
Oh, I
We
didn't
never
give you a
talked about
price on the sales, did I?
Yeah, we didn't talk about the sales.
We're currently sitting at 901, but we'll see if we can get some of that refunded back from that. So we'll just take out the initial cost of everything and see if we can get anything
Like
refunded
901 remaining.
901 remaining. Yep, that's how much we have left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After all of that stuff we had just said.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I think the only things we didn't add were
The RAM.
the RAM. The RAM was RAM and
The
well,
rig.
you included the Drakencraft, so that would make sense, right? For the
Mhm.
initial number
The 5,000 was without the Draken.
without the Draken.
Yeah,
well,
1,500
I don't know
without
what-
Drakencraft,
So if
and
we-
then the
if we
2,000
minus-
with.
Yeah, if we subtract the 800 or if we subtract the 800 for the RAM, we would have 101 EC available. So I don't know what we're missing. I don't remember what other options there were.
Well, the
Expanding rooms?
the upgraded sales are going to be 900. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll try to get. For now, we won't worry about the sales. I don't think that's as important. And we'll see if we can't get a. Even if we guys it as a reward for fetching Aldreg and everything for bringing everyone together, we have costs. Gosh darn it, costs. So, anyways,
Many much cost and
I'll leave 901 in the treasury for now. But other than that, everything should be taken care of. So we'll start working on those.
And as the group of you prepare all together, let me just think. So you guys have Bree and Tolly and Finn. The three of them are going to go start collecting stuff for whatever. So you got the three of them, and then you have your group. So are all of you going? Belbin, Thordane, Yuki, Luxalia, and Zill. All of you are going. Horatius is going.
Aldreg's going.
And Aldreg and Kokodo are going.
Everyone else, I think, can stay.
Okay.
Start making preparations. I think they all need to eat. Everyone needs to eat from what's her name?
Well, it is the middle of the night, so a good number of them could just go back to sleep
That's true.
for the night. So
Cool.
Balthazar, he bids you farewell as the group of you depart, and he says, "I'll keep an eye on the old Alamnia's breath while you're gone."
Yep. And Yuki will turn back around and says, "If you need us urgently," and she points to one of the ballistas, shoot 3 shots in a row. I'm sure we'll hear them, right?
They're not super loud. They're not
no,
cannon
just
shots.
like a big bow.
They're like,
Oh. We have the swivel cannons, though, right?
reverting. They're not cannons. They're swivel arbalists.
Just
Hey, you guys!
Yeah. Call for us. Send someone into Flomberge and make.
Yeah, one
racket
of the
noise.
Draken guards, he says, "We always have guards posted here down at the docks. If they need anything, they just need to come talk to us."
Perfect. How much was the brig again?
500.
1,800 for the forge.
Yep.
I'm just actually writing these down now.
Yep. So yeah, we walk in as a party. Some people roasting, some people doing okay.
You do. All of you have your flame capes on, and you begin to make your ascent. And as you do so, you can start to hear the sound of bubbling lava up above. It's very much a familiar sound to you, as it's been a little over a month since you guys have been here in Flomberge. But I'm going to have the group of you make agility survival checks for me.
Gosh, I forgot about this.
I'll roll. Do you want to roll for Belbin?
I can't. Yeah. Ooh, guys, he's not dying. It's a good day.
That's good. 12 for Yuki.
19 for Zill
21. Where's his agility?
and 12 for Belbin.
But looks
23 for Thordane. Oh, I can roll for Luxalia. pull her up really quick. 7 plus something. Hold on. What's her agility stat? Her agility is 4, so 11.
11. Okay. As you make your way about halfway up these steps, you notice that it gets steeper and steeper. It didn't seem like this steep when you had initially come here, but you rise pretty quick, pretty fast. But all of a sudden, the ground shakes. Volcanic activity has been happening, and as almost right before this happens, you have some of the two Draken guards that are leading you up. They cross their spears back behind the last of you in the group to catch anybody from falling, almost as if this has been the regular. And Wolfgar, he says to you, he says, "They've been happening more and more frequently as of late. It's good that you have come."
Well, we'll see if we can do anything to remedy this. We just need to get to King Nalgora Cragheim.
Indeed. And this walk probably takes about 30 minutes. So it's like 30 minutes of climbing. And some of you definitely are not in the shape to be able to do this, particularly.
I picture Kokoro just carrying Aldreg.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I need your help, Kokoro, as she's doing this. But yeah, it's like slow go. That's why it takes about 30 minutes to get to the top. But as soon as you do, you get to a very familiar bridge, a bridge that you fought a bunch of pirates on previously. And you cross a threshold, and down below is a river of lava. And you can tell with it being the middle of the night, the streets aren't bustling and busy, but you do enter from the northern side of the city, and you know where kind of the throne is. It's kind of sitting in the middle there's like this small little mountain that's in the middle of the city, and down beneath that is where the primary keep is. And so you wander down. It's definitely warm, but with these cloaks, you actually feel decently comfortable, almost as if kind of like the radiating heat from the magma isn't able to pierce it. And so it's warm, you're sweaty, but it's not unbearable. But you can see that some of the people that are here are like Riona, Finn, and even Toli to a degree are just like sweating and dying as you make your way into the town.
Yuki, seeing this, puts over her cloak like this and allowing anyone who wants to get in can get in if they like this. Sharing the load.
Sharing the load. To degrees, they take advantage of this. It just basically this just slows you down. Essentially, you just can't be in the city for too long. Otherwise, you're gonna start struggling. But you eventually make your way down into the center of the city, and there is nobody other than guards that are just pacing and doing their regular rounds. Most of the people you can tell are in for the evening. But as you approach the doors, they swing open, and in front of you is the large stature of King Nalgora Cragheim. You can tell he has been rushed to get ready, as word had just received his ears that you were coming. And he says, "It is good to see you return." And then he sees specifically Aldreg, and he holds out his hands, and he's like, "It's good to see you again, old friend." And Aldreg, he says, he's like, "It's much harder than I remember it being. When did the lava flow start?" And King Nalgora, he lets out a chuckle. That's a recent activity, about 2 months ago. This bad boy blew its top, and since then we've been having regular flows for some time. And Aldreg looks to you and he says, "You said nothing about this volcano being active. Well, if you have any more of those cloaks, I would very happily appreciate them." And King Nalgora says,
things come out of the lava.
That is true.
I think that was the first adventures of Zill and Yuki.
Yep, in the mines.
Exactly. Where Waffle was doing the sign language with Waffle, like,
Yeah.
go tell him to do this. Yeah, exactly. But King Nalgora Cragheim, he takes you all the way to the throne room, to where there's a table, like a long table that's at the end of it, and he bids you all sit down. And he says, "I'm happy to hear that you've made your return, but I only see one of them. Where is King Ferret?"
He's on his way. We stopped by Fesh and Fei on the way over, and he said that he would make his way with his escort. on the way. So he should be here in 2 days from now. Yuki checks her invisible watch.
And he says, "All right. I do trust King Farrand on his word, and I hope your travel was safe. We did notice that there was disturbance up north, particularly a flash of light off our northern shore. That's how we were drawn to your attention. We saw your white flag raised and saw that you meant no harm. None of the pirates that have been surrounding this island have shown such as that, and that is until we recognized your ship, Alomnia's Breath."
Well, we do have news about that. Speaking of which, we heard about the demise of Takai Town.
He is silent as he thinks about it for a moment, and he says, "Aye. It is tough indeed to know what the people of Takai Town have experienced. There's a settlement just outside of our gates. In the jungle, they're protected enough. We have some of our sentries and our guards out there. A decent amount of them were able to flee, but it was a butchering. Many of them were taken as slaves, and fewer of them were slain at the spot. Much of Takai Town is in ruin as of now, from what we know, and it is completely occupied by a fleet of pirates."
Where was Gunter during this? Had they departed before the incursion?
They did. They heard word that, that there was increased pirate activity out on the ships. They made their way eastward. He went to go check on the local surroundings, Sky Spire Island, Terra Bay Island, and even some of the smaller islands that are around. He hasn't returned since. It's been about 3 weeks. About 2 weeks after your initial departure, they left.
Was it also the 2 ships that we had claimed from the Bloody Bosun that went with him? Or were they raised in the attack at Takai Town?
Well, I think there was the 1 ship. I think there were 2 ships total. 1, which was yours. Or was there 3 total? I think
There were 3. There was like a cargo ship, and then there
That's
was
right.
like the bigger version of our ship.
That's
so.
right. That's right. He says, no, they were taken back to the Empire, and some of Gunter's crew are sailing them. They will be repurposed and redistributed as part of the Imperial fleet.
Well, this doesn't bode well if he hasn't returned. We have news regarding not necessarily the pillars themselves, but about the ongoings of the Great Peninsula, not the peninsula, what is this place called? The Inland Strait.
Yeah.
About the inland sea and the ongoings out and about that could explain this, or that does explain the attack on Takai Town, if you're willing to listen.
I am all ears. We have much to discuss, especially if King Farrand is supposed to come in a couple of days. Perhaps we can make plans to expedite the process. I am not sure if you've been informed or not, but the volcanic activity has increased as of late. The sooner we can have the meeting, the better.
And Yuki says gestures to the rest of her crew and like, we'll be more than willing to tell you. However, and she like reveals some of the new faces that are here as well, including Horatius, and says, we do have some guests among us, so maybe we don't discuss that right now. However, I think it's important that you meet them. And is everyone with us? Is everyone with us, including our crew, or just?
Well, you have the 3 members of your crew. So you have
Okay.
Tolly, you have Bree and Finn, and then you have, I believe, Horatius, and then Kokoro and Aldrich.
Yeah, Yuki introduces. Well, you don't have to roleplay it, but Yuki introduces them one by one. Their role on the ship, and kind of goes into a little bit of. Again, without role-playing, what had happened. So from the moment they left Flomberge to encountering Azale to go into Fesh and Fae, saving Princess Mila, getting King Farrand to come and to the keys, finding Aldrich Monteblair. She doesn't go into details about where and how, but basically we said they go to Folden Rock, found Aldrich Monteblair. The happenings that went on there with the cultists kind of explain the whole situation that the Fashion Fey elf had told us about what's her Favalia is her name, right? That
Favalia.
Favalia had shared, and kind of that the fact that Jackman Nobbs is basically in control of the sea, and he is currently presiding at Sky Spire Island, and we had encountered pirates on the way in and got that information confirmed by them. So that's what she shares. And anything else?
Just Zil mentioned there's a few other details we can fill in different company.
And King Nelgoric, he says, it has been concerning. The pirate activity as of late, even before that they, laid siege to Takai Town. There weren't many cargo ships coming in and out, meaning they must have created some kind of blockade out to the west of Aishan Island. There have been no Empire ships that have come to restock or anything here at the island. Fortunately, we have plentiful resource to be able to keep everybody alive while we're here, but we haven't heard hide nor hair since you have departed from this island. Tell me, what have you experienced out on the sea as far as this pirate threat?
Well, the only thing I can think about is, and probably the most concerning thing, is we found out that Jackman Nobbs, all the pirates are congregating to the island to make an assault on Aishan Island, completely take it over. And gesturing to Horatius, they're after him. Horatius, do you have anything to say about anything that you know of why Jackman Nobbs may be after you? She says.
You bring this up, and I'm going to actually have you make a charisma survival check for me.
I think I'm okay. What is it? 24. That's a natural 16.
He looks to you, and you can see surprise on his face. And he says, after me? Why would they be after me?
From the information we've heard, Jackman Nobbs is afraid of you. And she kind of like looks side to side, and that brings me to our second point. Were you attacked by an undead skeletal fleet lit by blue lights the night we found you?
Something like that.
That is Ragnik and his ancient crew. He is the direct, or they are the direct assault force of Jackman Nobbs, and they cannot be completely defeated unless Jackman Nobbs himself is defeated. And it seems that your ship was attacked specifically. I don't know this for sure, but if he was after you, it seems to be he was after you.
We were also informed that he wanted you alive.
Alive? What good could I do to him? And he looks puzzled as he sits kind of at this table. He strokes his chin and he thinks long and hard, and he says,
May we?
go ahead.
Just kind of a little bit. How close are the crew members right now?
I mean, they're at the table, so like it's you guys
Okay.
are seated on each side, so everybody's there and privy to whatever conversation's happening.
I think it's really important that we start prepping Alomnia's breath. King Nelgork, do you think there's any assistance you can give to our crew here to start those preparations, gathering of materials, and the work that needs to be done to make her not only seaworthy after our most recent encounter, but also battle-worthy?
Lord Cragheim, he nods and he says, just tell us exactly what you need. We will see what we can do. I will do what I can to be able to help pay for this. Clearly you've survived and you've experienced quite a bit on the ship that you have, especially after hearing of your attack from Azaeldoom. I do find that, well, it would be better if you were better protected. We would also need a crew. How many crew do you have currently active?
9. Well, 10 with 11 with
Eclaas and
Eclaas and Nida.
11
So
members. Well, when do you plan to set sail?
I guess that depends on the urgency of the situation. Obviously, we have 2 days until King Ferrand arrives, and we have the meeting of the keys themselves. We need to figure out what these earthquakes are and how to remedy them. But it seems that Jackman Nobbs is currently still gaining strength, so I don't think we have a super urgent rush. However, the longer we wait, the stronger he'll get.
He looks over to the crew members and he says, "Give me a list of what you need. I'll make sure to mark things off and see what we can do to help and give you a response by morning."
So we just give over everything that we have, and we even include the ram, if we can. What was the other thing?
The Draken.
The prison.
The Draken plate.
and
Well,
the
no,
prison.
the Draken plate, the prison, and the sails as well. We'll include it all and see if he can give a quote.
And we'll kind of have asterisks next to the
Draken
brig, the plate, and the ram.
He takes the list and he looks it over once more and he hands it over to one of his servants who takes it away into a different room. And he says, "For the time being, you all should rest. You all look like you've been up for days on end."
Yes. And Zil kind of looks towards the crew. It's like, your work tonight is done. Go get some rest. I'm sure there's a place here that might be a little more comfortable than our arrangements on the ship, if that's okay with you, Lord Craighon.
He again talks to another one of his servants and he says, "Take them to the inn. Take them to the coolest rooms that we have available." And with that, the crew members do leave, and he says, "But what was that light that we saw from all the way up here on our mountain?"
Is what's his name here? Horatius here?
Horatius
Or
is
did-
still here, so everybody's still here. They're getting their things together to leave, and he just brings it up as an aside.
That was Horatius's doing.
Horatius, like half standing as he's getting up out of his chair, he looks over to King Nalgoric and he says, "Hi, that was me." And King Nalgoric, he says, "I don't know what you have unleashed upon that pirate fleet that was out there, but keep your powers under control while you're here. You hear me? You will not be responsible for
Forgot
any
they have
harming
the
of my
rules.
people. You are a guest to Flomberge." And Horatius, he nods and he says, "Understood." And he departs.
Also, no, Horatius, hold on. There's more to discuss that isn't essential for the crew's functioning, and didn't want to worry them. So if we need to bring them up to speed later, we will. But I think both of you, pointing to Horatius and the king,
Do you want to keep
should
Aldreg
be
here?
fully.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Aldreg should be here too.
Okay.
So we might know why Nobbs wants you. We had a run-in on Folden Rock with Flavalia, who was possessed by a demon named Emineth. Their goal is to resurrect Leviathan. And for some part of that process, they need hosts. And we believe Nobbs is interested in you as one of those hosts. What that entails, what that means, why you would be fitting, I don't know. But we believe that's his interest in you.
Tell me what you
a
know of
couple-
this Thavalia person first.
She was a researcher from Fresh and Fey. She was a servant of LaFonte, and that's how she came in to contact with Emineth. We ran into her with some of the cultists of Burbledale. I think that's all I have.
And
all I
she
remember.
came into Folden Rock, Yuki interjects, on a ghostly ship in Foggy Bay. And there was a secret way in. We didn't go into detail about that, but there was an auction of sorts. It seems that she was bringing in money and she was being supplied by people at Fulton Rock. However, we put that to, and she refers to getting what's his name into prison and having him reforming himself. It seems that since Burbledale is gone, the cultists themselves those who are left have formed an alliance with Favalia in this Emineth demonic creature. Emineth has been defeated as far as we know. Jek from the Rangers of Helix was there at a good time at the right time and exorcised the demon properly.
There's heavy silence in the room. Nobody really mentions or talks about anything. You can see that there is deep contemplation in the eyes of Horatius. I'm going to have the two of you make wisdom skill checks for me.
10.
We're back. Nat 1.
Oh my gosh.
You all just sit in silence as you wait for someone to respond, someone to chime in. Eventually, Horatius does look up and he says, "You said Burbledale, you mentioned LaFonte, you mentioned Emineth. These demonic entities that surround your task, that surround your purpose. You say they seek me, perhaps, as a vessel.
That's our leading theory.
You don't know exactly, but it's what makes the most sense based off the information we put together. Why else would they want you alive? If they were afraid of you and your power, they'd want you dead as quick as possible, but alive. That's what brings the question.
My guess is whatever power we all have access to, something to that level might be necessary. A demon can possess, from what it looks like, any. I'm still new to all this, but it looks like any. But I think, again, I don't know anything about this creature, this Leviathan, but it sounds like it would take more.
This is all very intriguing. Lord Kragheim, would there be any resources that you could lead me to, any archives for me to be able to look into such matters? It has been long since I've heard of the names of these creatures, and I would like to be as prepared as possible if the confrontation were to be made. Now, Gora Kragheim, he looks to the rest of you.
And we say, well, at least Yuki says, he's proven himself to be trustworthy, mysterious indeed, and we still don't know a great deal about him. As you can see, he is a elf of the Vale Dune, and he says he has lived for many, many, many years. Perhaps one of the oldest living beings here on Everlast. But he has done nothing so far to show that he's working for the enemy.
What's that saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend? Jackson Knob doesn't like him.
Or maybe likes him too much. I don't know.
King Nalgora Kragheim, he nods and he says, "Do as you please, we will be keeping an eye on you, though. You may have gained the trust of Eclaas, but until you have proven yourself to us here at Flomberge, nothing has pierced these walls for the entirety of our existence, and you will not be the reason for that." And Horatius, he kind of looks a little troubled by this. But he nods and he says, "If it is your wish, Lord Cragheim, well, I think I shall leave you all be for tonight. It seems my presence is kind of run its course." And he says, "Sleep well, each and every one of you. I'll be doing what I can to get some rest." And he begins to depart, and you hear him actually as he departs with kind of his escort of a guard. I'm going to have the two of you make wisdom skill checks for me.
Nat 16.
14.
You hear, "Do you have any mana potions that you could perhaps send to my room?" Then in whisper, and Zill, you specifically hear him say, the guard say back, "Absolutely. We can supply you with whatever you need." And with that, the two of them leave out the doors.
And King Agork, there were two other things that found noteworthy from our previous evening's endeavors. One that you might be interested about as well, Aldrich. So we were able to pull out of the wreck Captain Sullivan's first mate, who gave us a lot of information. She was the one who recognized Horatius, who mentioned the information we have about Nob's interest in him. She was also very afraid that she had lost something they were transporting. It was some treasure, is all she knew about it. But before we came to your doors the first time, we had cleared out a fortress of a dark sorcerer named Eeas.
Amios. Amios, Zill.
No. And the Captain Sullivan, apparently went in, came out like he'd seen a ghost, which, having been in there, there's many things that could have caused that, but holding something that was of great interest to Nobs. So interesting that this first mate thought her life was forfeit because it was lost. Nothing comes to mind. We were a little more focused on, dealing with Eeas. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if you know anything about that fortress, or what it could be, but to our best guess, it's on the bottom of the ocean now.
Not far off your shores, in
Not
fact. 20 minutes out,
Yeah.
if that.
Right where the Pillar of Light was. The other thing that stuck out to me, she mentioned that Nob's choice of Skyspire Island was purely strategic to assault Aishan Island, which makes me wonder if he has any care of the Sky Pillar at all. I was wondering if he was there for the pillar, but if he's more interested in here, I don't know if he even knows it's there.
Maybe the reason he's so interested, Yuki's just kind of thinking to herself, is maybe he's after he knows about the Earth or the Flame Pillar as well. I don't know. It's just so many things we're learning, and it seems to all be coming to a specific point, but what is all of this?
Because this first mate was so worried about the loss, and she mentioned, what do you know about Aishan Island? There's power there. And I'm like, oh crap, they know about the flame pillar. And I was hoping you were okay. I was wondering if she lost the flame key. But then she mentioned the sorcerer's keep. So I don't know if it's related to the pillars at all.
Can Yuki make any checks to think back if she remembers anything from the keep that seemed interesting, as far as ooh, scary. Like,
Make a
full
knowledge
power.
skill check for me.
Actually, as she's doing this, I do remember something. Zill pulls out
14.
pulls out a book out of his backpack. He's like, "Do you have anyone who can read Sinandrin?"
He looks at the book and he says, "Aye, it's an ancient language, but yes."
This is from someone who called themselves the Bloodluster, who was in this keep. I can't read it. But if you have someone who can, maybe it'll help get some I don't know what's in it. I don't know if it's related at all because it wasn't Sorcerer himself. But it might be useful.
Now Gorik, he looks at it and he says, "This looks old. Very old." And he squints kind of down at the text and he says, "My Sinandrin is fuzzy at best," but he kind of like gives off kind of like a snap, and he says, "Bring this to Gerhard. Tell him to read this as quickly as possible and as carefully as possible. Let's see if we can uncover any information that lies within." And again, the another Draken servant comes and takes the book away.
Did Yuki think of anything? She got a 14.
Yeah, so in regards to specifically if you found like anything of interest or
Yeah, well, specifically something that maybe during the battle with Eeas seemed to be of importance that could be easily like hidden and concealed
so
in like a grasp.
just a quick reminder of how that battle kind of went and undertook is you remember that there were cultists that were performing a ritual and there were
wasn't there?
Yeah.
yeah, and there was a specifically this rift that was being opened up, kind of this like cosmic looking rift, and Eeas was performing this as he was summoning demons out of the rift. And then remember there was the pool of
The
like
blood.
that was
Yeah.
inside this rift
Dish.
or
Yeah.
this inside this dish, and that was the one that like Thordane touched that like made him like almost like flying to the rift and like die.
Oh
Yeah.
my
If
god.
you guys remember that.
Yeah,
In regards to anything specific, you were able to remember recover the body of Eeas, and you were able to get that mask from him. So there are a few things that you can think of that perhaps were of importance that maybe you either took with you or left behind. One of the things for sure is that mask. That mask Belbin still has. And another thing that was perhaps of interest is you think back to the dagger that the Grand Duel of the Bloodluster have, which you guys had took. That was the Callus dagger that I think you guys sold.
Yeah.
There was also
Would it be in the keep then?
It wouldn't, yeah, since we got it. So.
and then there was the book specifically that Zill was able to get. But as far as anything on the body, because you checked the body of Eeas like very thoroughly, you didn't see anything perhaps of interest. So if there was something that was taken from it, it definitely was not taken from the body of Eeas.
I'm wondering, just over game, I'm wondering if it had something to do with like the ritual room that we went in as like the new recruits with that one crazy lady, you know?
Yeah, the one where you guys started the ambush.
Yeah, the ambush. I'm wondering if it had something to do with there because we got out of there pretty darn quick. Or in the cellar, because Yuki went down in the pit and it was disgusting down there, but she didn't grab anything because she was disgusted by it. But maybe there was something else locked in there. I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. Anyways, that she was just trying to think and see if she
Also,
could.
Zill is wondering to himself. It's just kind of a question to you, Kai. Like, we made the promise to Nida, like, that her past dies there, and I just explained after, like, told, hey, we rescued this first mate. He's wondering, it's like, was that vague enough? Do I need a cover for her? Do I need to say something?
Well, probably. Yuki was thinking about that too. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's up to you guys.
Yuki will say this way. So of course I think you know this, Aldreg, but also King Cragheim. We told you this information in confidence, and how we came upon this information. We've dealt with all the repercussions up to it, so I don't think there's anything you need to worry about. So if you have any concerns moving forward, I think we've tied up all the loose ends themselves. If any come up, we'll make sure to let you know. However, if you have any concerns based off of what we told you, it seems we seem to have tied off those loose ends as far as we know. So you should be safe. Still.
He nods and he says, Eclaas, you have done more than enough to earn my trust. Not only have you helped us here on Aishan Island, not only did you protect our city from pirates initially, but you are also keepers of the Earth Key, which makes you part of an inner circle. An inner circle that is, well, I do believe is an act of providence by Alomnia himself. The fact that you hold this key tells me that you are everything that our situation needs right at this moment. It is unfortunate that the Order of Amandalius was killed. But the fact that you came and just so happened to be there at the moment that the elemental energy was to be siphoned out of that earth pillar. I do think that there is a plan and a reason why you are here, which is why I and the people of Flomberge will do everything that we can to make sure that you are attended to. And once we
And
have
Yuki-
this meeting of the keys, we can discuss further about what to do next. I don't think I need to say this to you, but the protection of the pillars are of the utmost importance.
Yuki nods, and she's thinking to herself, and she says, "That leaves me with one comment, one question. So you say the Order of Amandalius. We met one of the leaders of the Order of Amandalius in Fulden Rock. He was the current bishop at the cathedral there, and that's where we met Ragnik for the first time, this undead crew. He knows about the demise of the pillar and hopes to send more from the Order of Amandalius that way. Which brings me to the second question. Has there been any activity from Smoldran during all of this?
He looks to you, the two, well, I guess all five of you, and he holds your gaze and he says, and that's another matter entirely. None of us have been able to get close to Terabay Island. Smoldran has claimed it for himself. But I do think he is not an unreasonable beast. As Draken, we do have special connections to particularly Nazrahim and his offspring. I think that perhaps Smoldran does sense that there is trouble, that there is danger. But he has not let any ship approach that island, both good or bad. My fear is that whatever lies beneath, I hope covetousness doesn't fall into his heart. The sooner we can get him away from that island, the sooner we can get him away from that island, the better, to where he belongs, inside of his home, inside the volcano.
Would Smoldran and Nazrahim and Nazrahim have any specific interest in the safety of Everlast and the pillars themselves, as far as you know? Or is it more just territory to them?
They are very well aware of the power that Alomnia poses, They are the Mazrahim, along with the other elemental dragons, are among the oldest creatures from all of creation. Legend even says that they were alive all the way back at the dawning of life. They are very well aware of what Alamnia can do, but they also know what the hearts of the free people are capable of as well. In their tyrannical regime at the close of the First Age, they learned that you do not rise up against the will of Alamnia. Dragons are smart, they're watchful, and not unreasonable. I've known Nazrahim for the entirety of my life. He will do anything to protect the Earth Pillar. He fears defeat, I think. But he fears corruption even more. The corruption that Belial set upon him all of those millennia ago.
That brings me to my next question. I've been doing some research myself, honestly. Trying to get to know about Alamnia more and to know about the Guardian Historia and the events that have happened up until this point. And I see that the dragons themselves rebelled against Alamnia. And that didn't turn out well for them.
I do think
Obviously,
that they
they're-
were deceived more than anything. Alamnia, the dragons themselves are not purely evil. You as a Draken must know this. People call what we have a curse. And perhaps it is only in as much as it reminds us what we must fight for and what we must remain faithful to. It is the scars of past transgressions. That being the case, Alamnia created dragonkind. He created them lesser than his people, but great beasts of the sky and the sea and the earth as they are. Their original purpose was to serve as guardians of his creation. And our purpose were to serve as stewards of his creation. Yes, perhaps they are similar tasks, but their purpose, when they rebel against it, it often leads to their demise. And dragons are proud creatures, steadfast guardians. The loss of their will is the damage to their pride.
Yuki thinks long and hard about it. She says, "It seems like Nazrahim is here to protect the Flame Pillar. But do you think his offspring, Smoldran, you said he sensed the danger. Do you think, being the reasonable creature he is, could assist us?"
That remains to be seen. I think Smoldran is in a place right now where he senses something great, something powerful, something malevolent at work. Dragons have a connection to the spirit, different from ours. While they are incapable of wielding the spirit of mana, they see how it moves in the world. They merely can only react to it. Whatever Smoldran has seen is of concern of him. But my primary concern is the fact that even with the activation of Aishan Volcano, Nazrahim has not woken from his slumber. Slumber he's been in for decades, not uncommon for dragons. They live millennia, if left to their own devices. But 62 years is far longer than most dragons slumber. I do fear for Nazrahim. But we made a deal not to enter that volcano, his domain. And as long as we keep that promise, he will protect our pillar.
I thought Felquaith was the one at the pillar.
Which one? Felquaith.
Felquaith?
No, Felquaith is the one who's in the Roku horn.
Huh. Well, I got that backwards then.
It's all good.
I don't know when I made that note.
Yeah. Yuki says, well, of course, I think to dragons, from what I know, those promises are important to keep. But his son, when Zill and I had talked to him, when he had taken roost at Terabay Island, he seemed to understand us. And he promised that he would watch over Terabay Island in our absence. In fact, he handed us this, and Yuki takes out the bowstring and shows the bowstring to King Nagor Krakheim.
It's simple. It's a simple string, but it does glow with some faint radiance.
So there are 3 parts to this, as far as we know. There's a bow, which we have. There's this string, which we got from
I think the bow's in my room.
from Smaldren, yeah. There's one more item that we need for this, and it is an arrow. And I think we have found it, and it's in the chest of Ragnik, the undead pirate captain. I'm wondering if that would be something of interest to Smaldran in helping us perchance defeat that specific crew themselves.
Laying siege to the dead with dragon fire. Interesting. It's been long since, any person has been able to convince dragons, especially higher dragons such as Smaldren, to fight for a purpose that isn't in their direct interest. Making a deal with a dragon is a dangerous thing. You must understand that. They are powerful,
We know.
and they know they are powerful. They are fierce allies, but they are also treacherous. If you need to make absolutely sure, if you do speak to that dragon, if he even allows you to approach the island, you need to be absolutely sure you cover all of your bases when making this agreement. Any wiggle room. And he will look at his bargain loosely.
He honored our last agreement pretty well.
Well, then
How
I
we
have
got the
faith in
string
you
in the first
again.
place.
I'm just trying to think. Yuki's like thinking out loud to herself. If the dragons themselves want to also protect this world of Everlast, knowing their history and knowing the rebellion against Alomnia himself led to their ultimate demise, with the rise of Malvish and his minions, I would think they would have the same goal in mind that we do. Even to a certain extent, even if it's our job as the stewards to protect, as you had said. That doesn't mean we can't work together, especially at the threat of something so malevolent.
You must
I'm just trying
understand,
to...
dragons are strong, but they aren't fearless. They care for their lives almost as much as they care for treasure. But the one who leads to their imprisonment, the thing they fear the most, is exactly that which you seek to destroy. It is written that in the beginning, void crystals were spread throughout the world. Demons from the realm of the void placed these void crystals in the hidden places to be found by free folk and creatures of power. Some say it was even the Wraith of Malvish that made his way crafting a very special prime void crystal. And it is this that he gave to the greatest of all the dragons, Belial. And immediately, Belial was corrupted. Belial couldn't resist something as beautiful as it was, and dragons know of their own weakness. They know that their greed and their lust for treasure leads them astray, but they cannot resist it. They do not have the higher will of people. But it was because of the corruption of Malvish that the free peoples were deceived and darkness entered their hearts. Being able to unite a dragon against that which ultimately will lead to its downfall is a very, very difficult task. And it requires a great deal of persuasion. Persuasion that Belial holds. But Belial is dead. Malvish, I know, wants to use the vessels of dragons, which is why I think Nazrahim hides in his volcano. No living creature can bear and stand the heat. Kalisha, she has sealed herself off in the far north, and Felquaith, under spires of storms and under-earth mountainous terrain, he hides. The great dragons are great, but they are afraid. Smoldran never experienced that initial downfall, but I think he understands what could potentially happen. But he is young and he seeks action. He sits upon that island to protect it. To what ends, I have no idea. Perhaps it is out of fealty for his father who's protecting the Flame Pillar. Or perhaps he has his eye on something even greater. Perhaps the corruption's begun, but I'm not one to say whether that is true or not. If only we could speak to him, we may be able to understand his purpose. But, that being said, he needs to be calmed, tamed, reasoned with. And I know very few people who can.
I'll give it a try.
I think it's worth a try. Exactly, Zill. I mean, we've dealt with him before, and I don't think there's many people who have dealt with dragons.
We had a great chat.
We kept our promise to him, and he kept his promise to us. At the very least, I would hope that he would at least hear us out. Even if it isn't a direct assault against Jackman Nobbs himself. Any support to take back Aishan Island and or defeat his undead crew with Ragnik could prove incredibly useful in the downfall of power from Jackman Nobbs. And as you say, humans and the living creatures of Everlast can be corrupted. However, I think they're reasonable. If they see that power itself is going away, they'll want to go towards the next most powerful thing. And if they see Jackman Nobbs' power crumbling due to the strength of dragons and men and the living creatures, maybe those under the control of Jackman Nobbs may see otherwise, and we can access him one-to-one. I'm just trying to think. It seems impossible to go up against the fleets and fleets of pirates that he has. If we can take out his key pieces before we get there, perchance we have a chance. And she's just thinking to herself.
Now, Gord Kragheim, he looks intrigued and he says, I think there's a reason the Earth Key has fallen into the hands of you, Eclaas. You seek to do what most wouldn't dare. You fight.
We just called that Tuesday.
You fight selflessly. And I have known very, very few people like that, even closest allies. There is always something in it for them. But I do not sense that in you. Eeas, the keepers of the Earth Pillar. If you are to succeed in helping to save Aishan Island, to save Everlast broadly, not only will we be in your debt, but you will be deemed heroes. I just hope that that doesn't corrupt. That power, that responsibility. If we are to succeed at what we do, you will not be able to walk throughout the world and not be recognized. I want you to understand what you are signing up for. If you are to be successful, if we are to be successful, your lives will never be the same again.
My life hasn't been the same since the day I left Helix.
And you know, our lives, yes, we may have our own selfish desires. And she turns to Yuki. Or not, Yuki turns to Luxalia.
I'm like, she is.
Yeah,
Yuki.
she turns to herself. No, Yuki turns to Luxalia and says, but I have learned that you must trust in Alomnia and his will, and if this is where he's taking us, whatever befalls us moving forward, whether it be fame, fortune, or whatever, it's all in Alomnia's plan, and we must trust in it. And I'm trying to. And all I know right now is this is what we have to do.
May Alomnia guide each and every one of us. But for now, let's depart. We have much to discuss to prepare your ship for battle, and much work to do before King Farron arrives in the Council of the Keys. Thank you for all that you have done.
Aye, Captain.
Step 1 complete. Return Aldrag Monteblair to me. Step 2, discuss what to do next. And with that, I think we will have very powerful allies to be able to perhaps figure out what can be done about this pirate menace and about the demonic influence that you have experienced. Let's work together, see what we can do to restore a bit of peace to this small corner of the world. And with that, we will be ending our session for today.
Woo! Good session.
Well, shoot.
Yeah, we got lots to think about and talk about.
Oh
And you know what's
my-
exciting about it? The next time we're gonna actually get to talk about it and whatnot, it's going to be the true meeting of the keys with our Fate Weaver here.
Yeah,
It's gonna
seriously,
be
how
so
nice is that, having at least 4 of us together, 4 of the 5 of us all together in one room. It'll actually be our Council of the Keys. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very cool, very cool. Yeah, your guys' thoughts on today's session? Go ahead and talk. I have to go use the restroom real quick, but let's go ahead and start with you, Max.
Oh man, Zill's got a soft spot for the bringing on
The first bait.
the mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
the failed, the dark pasts into the crew, giving him a second chance. I don't really know. I mean, Duluth was the first time we did it. Yeah, Zill just kind of always has a heart for the downtrodden. And it's like, no, like we can make it better, and it's really fascinating. It's like how guys, like, but Jackman Knobs is so scary. It's like we've killed the demon.
He probably is pretty scary though.
He
I ain't gonna lie.
probably is.
He's probably. That's why Yuki's concerned. He's like, oh, fucking
Like,
pirates.
yeah, he probably is scary and has, but it's like
he's not the scariest thing we've fought. So it's just like, yeah. Can we promise your total, complete, absolute safety? You stay on the boat. No, like it's gonna get hairy, but we can protect you from him. And it's like very interesting to be able to like make that promise. And now I'm just like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die.
Well, I mean, you would hope that they would also have a change of heart for the similar kind of mission at hand, right?
Yeah, because it'd be so sad to make this promise and then tonight it just died. I'm like, no! But that's really cool. It's awesome to be back in Flumberge. I think so far it's not obviously, but unsurprisingly Zill's favorite city. He's itching to get to the forge.
And once day happens, you get to hear about the sweet beats that I created for this city.
The city.
Yeah.
Yes,
The city
so-
theme is nice for this place.
Oh, I like it. I've heard it, haven't I?
Oh, maybe, perhaps.
Wasn't it part of the Instagram slideshows that we played?
Maybe not.
Okay. I'm thinking of the wrong one. I'm
But-
thinking of the one that was for Zill.
Yeah, no, not that one. The one that was for
Okay.
Zill, that was the Umbertown one.
I like it though. It's a good one.
Yeah, there's a really good one for.
So when we were advertising for the Everlast TCG when it was coming
yes.
out, all of the reels that we had that we put up, like each of the characters had specific themes playing.
I remember now. Yeah, those were good. I think they're anyway. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. Trying to figure out what's going on with Knobs. Like, I was shocked. I mean, maybe he just didn't tell his underlings about his true purpose on Skyspire Island. Maybe he is interested in the Sky Pillar. Who knows? We'll hopefully find out soon. But to make it sound like he doesn't care about the Sky Pillar, I'm like, this throws everything I thought out the window. What is going on?
Maybe it's a means to the end.
To bring back freaking Amos. It makes me laugh well, actually, I'm recalling, for anyone fans of Dimension 20, there's a rule Brennan Lee Mulligan has called rolling for emphasis, where you roll 2 d20s and you take the result furthest from 10. So low or high. So it's like, this will be more interesting if it's either a raging success or a raging failure. But anything mediocre just won't be fun. So like this recurring joke that's spurned from an aggressive Nat 1. It's like, yeah, Nat 1s are never fun in the moment, but this Nat 1 has created a joke that will never die. And I love it when he comes up and to just be like, Amos? And I'm so glad he came back up.
This was a pretty big session too when it came to kind of tying events from the very beginning. I know, like, maybe at the start of everything, it seemed like there was a lot of like very like disjointed events that just kind of like happened one after another, and it's just kind of like, what is like the point of like this adventure? Like, why are we going on it? Now everything's is kind of starting to make sense and pieces are coming back.
Yeah.
We're learning about like Eeas and everything, and like you figured out some things of his plan, but he died, and so it's just like, well, he is just a baddie that was trying to summon demons, so that sucks. But now it's like perhaps there's something like even deeper to what's going on, something deeper about that keep that is of importance to whatever demons are out there trying to work their magic here.
Yeah, it also made me laugh of just how quickly we have flipped on Horatius.
Yeah, he was sketch as heck, but now I like him.
We were all so sketchy, and now we're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna tell him everything. He's part of like all the conversations.
He summoned pillars of light. He's good.
Like, he summoned Pillars of Light, and Jackson Knobs has it out for him. Checks all the boxes in my book. That's both simultaneously a very low and a very high bar.
What sketched me out about him was just the fact that he knew that Belvin was a bowling champ. Who'd ever heard of bowling besides Belvin?
I'm wondering if that was just a slip and not actually intentional. by Kyle. That's my guess. He doesn't have to confirm or deny. I'm just like, oh yeah, he knows what bowling is. Not thinking like, wait, how would that information have gotten there? And now that's my guess.
He's been around for a while. He knows.
He's been around the block.
He knows a bowling alley or two.
Do whatever you want with that theory, including nothing. But anyway, yeah, it's been really funny to just watch how quick he has flipped. Not he has flipped. How our trust level of him has flipped.
He was also out of the guise of you guys for a couple of sessions, because you guys had the combat session and then you had the wrestling session, and both of those like he really wasn't a part of too much, and so like I think like it gave time for like suspicions to kind of like dwindle a little bit, and then like he came back onto the scene with a bang, obviously, and now you realize he's not just a random guy. Like he has like some kind of purpose here. So
he likes his mana potions.
He does like his mana potions.
I mean, I would need one too after that. Like that was probably I don't know what's
Mana
like the
potion.
leveling.
The highest level spell you could do. Yeah.
Like I don't know the leveling thing that well anymore, but it's like that was probably a 6th or 7th level spell or whatever the equivalent would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was
The
Anyway.
skies opened up.
I just think of Megumine from Konosuba.
Oh yeah.
She
fire-
I don't know if you know what that is.
Firebolt. Is
But
it Firebolt?
she's a witch who she knows one spell was it fireball or something, but it's like an insane like nuclear explosion, and then after she uses it she just
goes
falls prone
unconscious, yeah.
and goes unconscious. It's the one thing she does. That's what he did with Pillar of Light. So,
Next quest, you have to fight a bunch of cabbages, flying cabbages.
yeah.
my cabbage.
Make some Brussels sprouts later, right? It's good.
Yeah, Dane, your thoughts on today's session?
Yeah, I mean, Max said a lot of it. I really like the conversations we had. I think we learned a lot this session, and I like those sessions a lot. It reminds me a lot of AME in that aspect, where it wasn't like super combative, and it's not like we did a ton here and there. I actually I hate math, but I thoroughly enjoyed going through the numbers of those and kind of working it out, because that's kind of the first time we have since we set sail. Hopefully it wasn't too stressful for you on the moment that we were talking about such things. But
I was kind of curious about it too. It's good to get it
yeah.
resolved.
curious to see how much discount we're gonna get off of it, because that'd be nice if we got back some of it and we could upgrade it. How sweet would it be if we had Drakencraft on our ship? That'd be nice. But either way, I think that we got some really good information from him. We learned a lot of useful information about Jackman Nobbs and his whole shtick. We learned a lot more information about all the other characters as well, including the First Mate, kind of the purpose of the First Mate, what's going on, uncovering some more details and treasures. Actually, that was good bringing that up, Max, because I completely forgot about mentioning the treasure that had sunk. So that was really good. To
You guys
bring
have a
up.
Fesh and Fey Elf too that can go do some treasure hunting.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wondering if we just want to leave it there. Just like,
Yeah, but if Jackman Nobbs knows it's there, is the thing, you know, he come by and pick it up. But then the dragon thing just came into my mind too, because I know in the world of Everlast, like they're the ones who are like the ultimate rebellions against it, and if they have any pride in themselves, like being able to fight against the thing that they had served earlier, maybe that would be something that they would be interested in, even if it wasn't even necessarily going up against Jackman Nobbs himself, but helping us out. That was just a thought that like came to me, and I'm like, you know what, that kind of makes sense, especially if he is kind of protecting Terabay Island and the Earth Pillar. I know in our first discussion with him that we were talking about, the reason he went there was because he sensed the power of the rope that would control him, right?
yeah.
I'm wondering if that's like a void crystal item, you know, and he doesn't want that, because how else would he be controlled by it, you know? Like that doesn't seem like to be a manic thing. That seems to be a void flow thing. And that was the kind of the thing, right? We find it for him, we destroy whatever's in there, and then we basically switch back and forth. So hopefully by having gained his trust in him initially, and I remember upon departing, he wasn't suspicious of us anymore. He was just like, yeah, we'll see if I leave, kind of. And we're like, oh, well, we'll leave you to it. We'll leave you to it. We're like, we're the owners of this pillar, and we appreciate you for staying here and protecting it. Because we did ask him, we're like, hey, if you could, we are the protectors of this, and we have no one, but we have some business to take care of. Is there a way you could protect this for us? And he's just like, well, I'll be here. So I'm like, okay, there you go. Hopefully he has some reason, and we can convince him otherwise. But no, that was interesting to learn about all the dragons. That was, I think, the first time we really went into depth about all the dragons, including Nazrahim. The fact that we now know we can't go in and disturb the pillar, or like the area around the pillar, because
yeah. So you remember, like, right outside of the volcano, like, entrance is the earth pillar, and there's like stone doors that are shut. Oh, not the flame pillar, and so that's
but
like
in the
right
volcano.
Outside. Kind of. It's like it's not in the caldera, but like it's like right outside of the volcano.
Well,
so,
I'm talking about Nazrahim. Nazrahim's in the volcano.
Yeah. He's sleeping in the caldera there.
So we could talk about it. We can discuss what's going on. I'm curious to see what we are going to discuss about, because I still don't really know what the purpose of the keys bringing together is, other than making a potential plan to stop Jackman Knobs.
I got a note from a long time ago
About it.
that like the keys are the only way into. I don't know why I have it written down that it's where Felquaith is sleeping, but I had Felquaith written down in 2 different spots.
Maybe we talked about Felquaith. I talked about the dragons, but
I also have that the fire pillars in the island.
Yeah, I
Or
think on
in-
my
with-
map
with
here.
the dragon.
Yeah, on my map here we have the pillars here. So there's like a gate that protects it, and this is the entrance here to the volcano. And so remember, the Council of the Keys are going to happen up here at this statue, and then there are 4 different locations for the different keys that you guys have to insert your keys into in order for this to happen. But there is a large gate that kind of like gates off like the small area that the flame pillar is, and so that's right here.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
the keys are needed to enter the volcano, is
Yeah.
what my note says.
Yeah. I'm just very curious to see like what moves forward and what we learn during the next session, because I feel like we learned a lot this session. We got a lot of useful information. I hope that we can prepare ourselves properly for things, and hopefully we can. I'm still kind of nervous on how we're going to attack the island if there are just legions of pirates there. Because, like, we had trouble with 2 ships. Like, you know, like, we need... It can't just be us. That's why I'm just trying to think of ways that we need to...
Allies.
In order... Yeah. I mean, if we can find the Flortensia, great. But I'm also kind of nervous that maybe they were besought by pirates. And... So, I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was a good session. We learned a lot, and it makes me excited for when you're here and we can actually do it.
It's gonna be
Have the
sick.
next one.
It's gonna be really sick. I'm pumped for it. But yeah, Dave, do you have any announcements before we do head out?
Max, do you know if you're doing anything this week and for
Yeah,
Forge Great X? I know Cole's got a crazy schedule, so
Yeah, Cole's schedule's gotten insane again. So I think just until that kind of settles down, like
It's
we're
okay, I'll
back
finish-
on hiatus.
I'll finish Echoes of Wisdom. I have the boss rush final thing, and then the final temple. I don't know if it's a final temple or if it's just the final boss battle. So
yeah, even if it doesn't take the whole time, like we'll still do plan on streaming on Sunday. Our next, I will be uploading as well this weekend, the light card analysis. Those of you who are unaware, we've been going through the entire Heroes of the West and the Raising of Helix sets, and we've been doing short 30 to 40 minute set analysis where we go through and describe each card and kind of their weaknesses, how they work, how they synergize. And so we just finished this past week the light element. I will get those uploaded to YouTube. But next Wednesday we will be doing the dark. So instead of Monday, we're going to be moving it to Wednesday because Monday Kyle is going to be traveling basically, so we're not going to be able to do that. So when Kyle gets here, we can do the dark deck or the dark sets or the dark card analysis for both sets. And then yeah, also update on the Everlast TCG. Kyle, do you have anything to update as far as that goes?
We are on schedule to be able to get everything out to you by the end of June to mid-July. And so those who did back the Everlast TCG, that was our original timeline, was for everything to be packed and shipped by then. We have officially received the product for it, and it's just a matter of packing it and shipping it and sending it off. So basically we have the product, but we have to reseal it, reseal booster packs, booster boxes, decks, everything like that. And so we're just making sure that we have everything accounted for. But yes, we will be doing that over the next couple of weeks and getting them shipped off as soon as we're done. And so they should be in your hands at latest by mid-July, depending on where you are in the world.
I know there were a couple questions that we were getting on the Kickstarter. There people like, any timeline, any updates? I did my best to address those, but just in case any of you are watching who did ask questions and ask for updates, I answered them there on the Kickstarter as well as here. So yeah, those are coming. They're still not there. We've just been going through a lot. We have been jumping through hoops when it comes to everything. But yes, luckily things are still on course to go out when we said they were going to go out. As far as anything else, we will not have AME next week. AME is again Tuesday. Kyle will be traveling, so no AME next week. And it'll actually be kind of a weird week next week. We only have one stream next week, and that will be two streams? No, one stream.
One stream.
And that will be technically Kyle's stream on Sunday, and then the dark deck analysis. So it'll be a little bit of a lighter week next week, which is not a problem, but we hope to get back to it starting the next week after that. Aside from that, I can't think of anything else. Check out Fragrances of the Realm and Candles of the Realm. There are Everlast themed coffee and candles. They're great, especially if you like the Everlast TCG and you love the art. Like, take a look. That's Flomberge. That's the actual official art of Flomberge. And Kyle's holding up one of our coffees and one of our candles. And actually in the background, too, this is Flamongolith. Behind Max is Helix. All of these arts have been funded because of your guys' generosity, not only to our Twitch channel, our YouTube channel, but also because of your generosity for buying Fragrances of the Realm and Coffee of the Realm. All proceeds go towards paying our artist who does all the art for Everlast. So it's very helpful, and it's also really good coffee, and it's really nice smelling candles. They're very reasonably priced, and especially if you're a big fan of coffee or you have people in your life who are big fans of coffee, they're really good. It's really solid. You can get it in whole bean or ground. And then also Fragrances of the Realm are very good. They set ambience for your tabletop RPGs, and just ultimately they smell really good. I'm particularly a fan of the coffee smelling one. The Brimbledale Library, it's real nice. But those are good ways to be able to support the art of Everlast, and especially for future sets that come out as well. Your guys' help and support with that goes a long way. We also have an amazing sponsor, Dai Snacky, a Japanese sweets and luxury treats company based in Tokyo, Japan. They are a small family business who offers free international shipping and all kinds of Japanese snack boxes. And so you can either get their omakase box, which is just your normal common Japanese treats, luxury, or just treats and sweets that you get. That all they're not just Pocky, it's not just Kit Kats, it's all the kinds of stuff that actually Japanese people eat. Of course, it will sometimes come with Pocky and Kit Kats, but it's very seasonal as well. So every box is different. So if you order one, the next box will not be the same, guaranteed. And then they also have their high-end luxury snacks, which includes like your mochi, and they're more like really high-end seasonal stuff. So especially if you can't afford to go to Japan, yeah, you still kind of want to taste of Japan. They're an amazing, they're amazing for being able to provide a wonderful true Japan experience. And if you do decide to purchase from them on checkout, feel free to mention your Twitch username and say that Forge sent you. If you do these, that's how we get that referral, and that's how we get paid for that. But also, you will get your name entered into a raffle where when we hit a specific referral limit, we do give away a free omakase box on stream. And you have to be there for that stream for that. But we've given 2 away so far since our partnership with them, and they've gone to 2 amazing community members. And everyone who's bought them so far, we've had a lot of community members buy them, and they've loved them. They thought they've been amazing. So I highly recommend them, and they've been our loyal sponsor for these last 2.5, 3 years. So consider supporting them. It supports us. And again, don't forget to mention that Forge sent you.
Absolutely.
Aside from that, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, just continue. We're continuing on with all kinds of stuff as far as streams and whatnot goes. I'll be back in Colorado starting next week, and so our next 2 sessions are going to be in person. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the calendar. On the 27th, Friday the 27th of June, we will have an in person, and then also on the 11th of June, we will be having an in person. July, yeah. We'll be having a in-person sessions of Everlast, which is great. I will, after I finish Echoes of Wisdom, be starting a new game, starting that not next week, but the week after in June, which will be Super Mario Sunshine. So look forward to that. It should be really cool.
Sweet.
And yeah, we'll play that for a little bit, basically until I get back to Colorado, and then we'll start something else. But yeah, it should be a great time. But let's go ahead and close in prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. O Jesus, my Savior and Redeemer, Son of the living God, behold, we kneel before you and offer you our reparation. We would make amends for all the blasphemies uttered against your holy name, for all the injuries done to you in the Blessed Sacrament, for all the irreverence shown towards your Immaculate Virgin Mother, for all the slanders spoken against your spouse, the Holy Catholic Church. O Jesus, who has said, if you ask the Father anything in my name, he will give it to you. We pray and beseech you for all our brethren who are in danger of sin. Shield them from every temptation to fall away from the true faith. Save those who are even now standing on the brink of the abyss. To all of them, give light and knowledge of the truth, courage and strength for the conflict with evil, perseverance in faith and active charity. For this do we pray, most merciful Jesus, in your name, unto God the Father, with whom you live and reign in the unity of the Holy Spirit, world without end. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you all. May Alomnia guide you. We'll be praying for you. Make sure you pray for each other. Pray for me too. And until Sunday for the conclusion of Echoes of Wisdom, have an amazing weekend, and stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you all there. Bye.